The Patriots, the Celtics, the Revs, and the Bruins. Boston's home for sports is 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins won their fourth straight game last night, beating the New York Islanders 4-3 in a shootout. Murat Husnudinov tied the game with his second goal of the season with 4:54 left in regulation, and then buried his chance in a shootout to hand his team the win.
Yeah, it's a crazy game today. It's BK, great job today, and Sway. We have a great chance before him score. Good comeback. I think team feels great right now. It's a big comeback, 2 points.
Victor Arvidsson and Pavel Zacha each scored goals for the Bruins in the win. They're back home to play Ottawa tomorrow night. The NFL trade deadline came and went yesterday. Patriots did not make a move. They did sign 23-year-old free agent wide receiver Brendan Rice, the son of Hall of Famer Jerry Rice, to the practice squad. There were a handful of big trades yesterday, two of which involved the New York Jets. Sauce Gardner was sent to Indianapolis for 2 first-round draft picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell, and defensive lineman Quinnen Williams was traded to Dallas for first and second-round selections, and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. Also, New Orleans shipped Rashid Shaheed to Seattle. In other NFL news, 2 days after he missed an extra point that cost his team the game, Atlanta waived kicker John Parker Romo and replaced him with free agent kicker Zane Gonzalez. Celtics had last night off. They host the Washington Wizards tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Trevor Story has opted into his contract with the Red Sox, and the Sox have also signed Jarren Duran to a one-year $7.7 million contract, avoiding salary arbitration. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Mays under center, Moff set up.
Drake
He
May.
takes a step, May throws down the middle. Drake rolls well, wrecking traffic. Off balance, throw it to the end zone. Caught by Joe. Pass is going to be.
Drake May plays on one station in Boston.
Here's another Drake May moment. Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
They love the show. In fact, they said, Fred, you're the best.
and Hardy
Who's Taylor the originator?
on 98.5.
Hello.
Hey there.
Aloha. How are we doing?
I'm an animal.
Can we use this for the radio? No, Nick, with your drinking at noon on Mondays.
Well, I tell her the truth, I miss booty.
That problem is too large for the starch.
You know how I feel about clowns on morning shows?
And I'm just saying, hello.
Toucher and Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back.
25 glasses of soda.
Having some fun.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yeah. Yeah. We are Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios, 617-779-0985. Watch us on YouTube. You can subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And if you're watching or listening to our podcast on any of the numerous ways, you can listen to our podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Simply know that you could watch us on YouTube if you want to see a video of us, which I always felt weird saying, but then I see like Ben Shapiro like on a video, and you're like, well, he's not doing anything either. So I suppose you just want to see people talking. If that's the case, we're in here. Trade deadline yesterday. What a day! What a day!
You all right?
Okay, I will. Since it's 6 o'clock and this is the freest break, I will take you through my thoughts on the matter of your New York Jets. Here is what happened. My son texted me in the afternoon. I had been out at someone's house, and I came home, and it said Sauce Gardner got traded. And now I know not to doubt my son, because he's the kid that said Giannis's brother was on the Milwaukee Bucks, and I went, oh my God, no, he's not. And this is when he was younger. He's like, no, he's not. And I went on and on and on and on and on. And then, sure enough, Giannis's brother was on the Bucks, which I couldn't believe because it's not to excuse my ignorance.
Well, it seems foolish.
Yeah.
Well, it did seem a little ridiculous. They just have his brother on the team, and they pay him, and he puts a uniform on just to sit there.
That's correct. And then they went ahead and signed the other one. They got two of them now.
Yeah. I mean, look out championships. Yeah. Not like those roster positions are incredibly important, but it's just like they're just
expensive cheerleaders.
Here's a couple buddies for you to hang out with.
Yeah.
So he goes, Sauce Gardner got traded, and I'm like, ugh. Okay, so here's the deal. And then they traded Quinnen Williams, who is now, like, Sauce Gardner has not been as good the last year and a half, and Quinnen Williams is 27 or 28. 27? He's about to be 28. So, of course, like, this isn't great. You know, this is every 4 years this happens with the Jets. Is that they go and they, it's not fun. I would rather they win football games, certainly. The days of me being, like, super jazzed about, like, I like the draft, but, like, it's 50 years of liking the draft. I would like them to get a quarterback, just a quarterback, because you saw what Drake May can do. Drake May has elevated that team that doesn't have a great deal of talent on it and has made them a playoff team. So, and then they can recalibrate next year and make a run. Like, the turnaround's very quick when you have a quarterback. Jets never have a quarterback. Vinny Testaverde's been their best quarterback since I've been alive. So that's I don't think debatable. And he tore his Achilles the season they were supposed to win the Super Bowl, the first game of the season. So, of course, I'm not, like, super psyched, but it's it's what it is. Now, okay, they got an assload of stuff for Sauce Gardner. They got 2 first-round picks, and they got a kid that's going to play receiver for them that was, I believe, a second-round pick 2 years ago. So, look, they got a lot for him, right? Quinnen Williams, Jerry Jones is out of his effing mind to give a first and a second and a second in that. No, I think that the Indianapolis Colts gave away a first-round pick. Either the Dallas was a first round and Indianapolis was a second round, or Indianapolis was a second round and Dallas was a first round.
Indy 2 firsts and the wide receiver Quinnen Williams first, a second.
No. I'm saying that the picks, the players they got were both recent.
Oh, okay.
Top 2 round picks.
Mm-hmm.
So so Jerry Jones is out of his effing mind. Quinnen Williams, Dallas isn't a good team. Their defense sucks, and with Quinnen Williams, it's not going to get, like, markedly better. And they've used up pretty much the trade capital that they've gotten for Micah Parsons, and they turned it into Quinnen Williams and some other garbage. So, like, Quinnen Williams is a good football player, but he's not going to be great for a long time. And they gave up way too much for him. So with that, the Jets, great, give up Quinnen Williams. They're not going to be any good by the time. I mean, by the time, best case scenario, they're any good, he's going to be long gone or at the end of his career. So obviously what they're trying to do is obviously Glenn did not like Sauce Gardner, and I don't really blame him. And Quinnen Williams wanted a trade, too. Quinnen Williams had gone to the team 3 times and said that he wanted a trade. That came out after. And so I'll give everyone, Quinnen and his people and the Jets, a lot of credit for not letting that leak, because those things generally do. So I like Quinnen Williams a lot, and I think he's a really good locker room guy, but he wanted out, and I can't blame him. But, they obviously want a quarterback. Now, unfortunately, this year isn't supposed to be the greatest for quarterbacks, and now they're saying 27 is the really good draft for quarterbacks.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Because this was supposed to be the really good year.
Fine.
But regardless,
Yeah.
the Jets control both those drafts, and they do need a quarterback. Now, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson were all taken in the first round of the same draft. They're all relatively hits. Jermaine Johnson's good, but he gets hurt a lot. But the other two are obviously hits, and they didn't win anything with them. So just having 3 first-round picks certainly doesn't guarantee you anything.
It also doesn't guarantee you're going to get players as good as the ones you just shipped out either.
No, but I mean, you're going to get. Yeah, you could get 3 crappy players, and I was just kind of making that point. But I like the chance. First of all, they can package picks and move up to get a quarterback, which is what you want to do. And you give this regime, which they've done a million other times with other regimes, you give them an opportunity to make the team in their image. I hope they aren't in a situation where they keep those 5 first-round picks over the next 2 drafts. I hope they, package them to move up, or they trade a first-round pick and a second-round pick to get an existing player or something along those lines.
Well, with that number of picks in those rounds, the only reason to do it is to package them up to move up to get the guy, to get the quarterback, whoever that may be, the next draft or the draft after.
So say Tennessee has the worst record in the NFL. I mean, they have a quarterback, so you just can move up. Mazzie Smith from Dallas is a first-round pick 2 years ago, and Adonai Mitchell from the Colts was a second-round pick a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like that. I mean, those are reclamation projects that they take a shot on. They're cheap. So, you take a shot on those. But I was not thrilled. I mean, I wasn't pissed that they made the trades. I was just like, here we go again.
That's what I was getting to. As a Jet fan, were you at all blindly upset, or when you heard the news, it was like, okay, this is what they always do, and it sounds like it's option B.
Okay, so 10 years ago, I would have been. Well, why would I be pissed? I mean, there's 1-7, and their defense sucks. No, I'm not overly upset about the 2 players they lost. They won without Gardner last weekend. I mean, their defense didn't play well, but they won without Gardner. They brought in corners that are fine, that are place setter.
It's difficult to be a fan of something that might happen 2 years from now. That's the issue. And I hate playing GM. I hate playing the long game as a fan of a team, even though it's the right thing and it obviously makes sense, and there's nothing that's going to happen this season. But how do you remain passionate about the idea of transactions and moves that might pay off? I mean, it would be amazing if they paid off even a year from now, more likely 2.
Yeah, well, I've spent my whole life doing that. And I've done it a million times. And again, maybe 5 years ago, I would have come in here and gone, oh boy, da-da-da-da-da. Now, look, it's better than what they did last year when they went nuts with Aaron Rodgers, which I never wanted them to do. And then they went out and got the receiver from Vegas, which I didn't want them to do. They tried to patch Adams. And that's the thing, is you can't patchwork a team together. You just can't. You can't do it. It doesn't work. You can add pieces, and you can certainly get a veteran quarterback, and he can come in and be successful. But you can't patch it all together in real time. Just do it during the course of a season. I hated what they did last year. But, Hardy, yes, I've spent my whole life getting excited. And 5 years ago, I'd probably be like, wow, everyone, the Jets won the trade deadline. The Jets won the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but, it would have been nice if they won the trade deadline 3 years ago. They need a quarterback. The league has come down to that. You can get as many Quinnen Williams and as many Sauce Gardners as you want, and if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win. Bottom line, you need a coach and a quarterback. I know everyone knows that already, and it's trite, but it's true. If you don't have a coach and a quarterback. Now, one good thing is Woody Johnson is obviously not going to screw with Aaron Glenn and Muji, which I liked when Orlovsky went on the air and couldn't pronounce the GM of the Jets' name. And what's interesting about that is he only has to cover professional football. It's the trade deadline. Like, if you guys or I screw up a name, who cares? I'm a glorified rock DJ. But Orlovsky's supposed to know what's going on, but I understand he's more of breaking down film and stuff, so I give him a break, but he couldn't pronounce the guy's name. But, the Jets have won many, many off seasons. Many off seasons. And they never win. And you know when they won? When Mark Sanchez was their quarterback. That's when they won. When Rex Ryan was their coach and Mark Sanchez was their quarterback, they went to 2 straight AFC Championship games. They beat the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And who thought that those teams were going to be anything? So here we are again. So that is my opinion. I burnt it early in the show. And I don't know if anyone in this draft is going to be a good quarterback, and I don't know if what they're going to do with those picks, and they're going to wait around for 2027 to go get a quarterback, which delays everything further. And I don't know who's coming out in 2027. I guess Arch Manning is what everyone's got their hopes.
Arch
Manning
coming out this year.
No, and I wouldn't take him this year. But you'd just be taking Arch Manning because his name is Arch Manning. Arch Manning hasn't been the best quarterback in college football or the best prospect in college football this year. How could that be? He's had really bad games, and he's on a pretty good team. So there you go. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But be very, very happy that you have Drake May, because that was what turned everything around. You held on to the 3rd pick in the draft. You sat, you took the quarterback that you liked, and then here we are. You're 2 years into it. It's not a very talent-laden team, and you've only lost 2 games. Now, in next year, will you take a little bit of a step back just based on your schedule? Of course. Like, you're not going to have probably as good a record.
But you're 2 years into it with a quarterback and a team that has question marks. And, we'll find out when we start talking about what the Patriots did not do at the trade deadline. But you're in a position right now where I'd say easily half the fan base is okay with them not doing anything at the trade deadline because you're in that good a shape right now. You're not great. I still don't think you're a Super Bowl team, but with the record the way it is, the way the rest of your schedule lines up, you've put yourself in a really nice position, at least for this season, so much so that it's not a big deal.
Because you have the quarterback.
And because you have the coach and the quarterback. That's right.
Take a look at the 2024 draft. You hit 1 pick. 1. And it just so happened to be your first one, who was the quarterback.
Yep.
But the rest of that draft was horrible. Horrible. I think almost everyone from the 2024 draft last year is no longer on the team except for May. So, yes, Fred, more to your point, you're right. And I was just doing some quick research for the 2027 draft. That kid from Ohio State, who is a Heisman candidate, is one of the top guys. A Florida kid, DJ Langway, is one of those guys.
Well, I really want the kid from Florida with the great success they've had this year getting their coach fired.
Yep.
So, look, as long as May's your quarterback, you're never going to be bad. You're always going to be in the playoff hunt. And you could win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference. So, look, they weren't winning with those 2 guys. And Quinnen Williams certainly wasn't going to be a part of, some rebuild. But I'm sick of them rebuilding. That's all. They had to do what they did. I don't like Sauce Gardner that much, and neither does the fan base. I listened to WFAN for 4 hours yesterday.
Fan base really hates him.
Fan base does not like Sauce Gardner. Neither would you if you watched him.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, Sauce Gardner didn't want to leave. Quentin Williams wanted to leave New York. Sauce Gardner, believe me, didn't want to leave New York. He was loving it. He not being on the Jets. He was loving being a star in New York. Very, very much so.
The guy showed up to the draft press conference wearing a giant gold-encrusted chain with diamonds that said Sauce on it. He loves himself some Sauce Gardner. Always has.
And I am speculating the reason they didn't trade Breece Hall, which, I hear some people around here going, you could have gotten Breece Hall for a third-round pick. I think that the strategy might be to re-sign Breece Hall. He's 24. Re-sign Breece Hall. They were never going to move Garrett Wilson. They have a young offensive line that they like. They have Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. I think they might keep them to when they put a quarterback in, he's actually got an offensive line, a running back, and a wide receiver. I think that might be the reason they didn't trade Breece Hall. I didn't think they were going to. But there you go. And that's it for my Jets takes. But I got a lot of emails. And to be honest with you, it's just, here we go again. I'm not excited. I'm not disappointed that they did it, but it's just like.
You're numb.
Yeah, it's like, my son gets out of, he's not even going to be around that much next year, but he leaves for college, hopefully in a year and a half. There's only one more football season. This one's over. And it's not like next one's going to be very good because they'll have a rookie quarterback unless they find some way to luck into some guy gets cut loose and they, get a Jared Goff situation or something where they, or a Sam Darnold situation where they find some veteran, or a Baker Mayfield situation where they find some veteran that comes in and lights it up next year. But what are the chances of that happening? Who's going to want to play there? All right. We'll be back in just a moment. a golden ticket I've gotten.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sports Show.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night's brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game. What happens? So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. What's going on, man?
Well, we were talking about the NFL trade deadline yesterday at 4 o'clock, anxiously waiting by to see if the Patriots would do anything, and they didn't do anything. Why didn't they do anything? Phil Perry.
I don't think they're willing to part with draft picks in the middle of what they still consider a rebuild. I asked Vrabel 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think now, if their record and their performance this season would at all change their approach at the deadline. And he basically, at the time, flatly said no. He wasn't shutting off the idea of making that happen, but he clearly was not taking an aggressive stance either at the trade deadline in order to help bolster what they already have on the roster.
Now, they didn't do nothing, as John pointed out to us last night. They did acquire, is he a wide receiver, I
Yes.
hope? Okay.
Jerry Rice's kid signed him to the practice squad. Yep. A bold move. Bold move, alters everything. I get not wanting to make a big deal. You don't want to part with day one or day two picks. I get that. You're building something here, but there were some minor things that the Patriots could have done. We talked about, we had more than one writer talk to us about Rashid Shaheed and what a deep threat he would be. And Shaheed was traded for a 4th and a 5th. That's something the Patriots could have done. I mean, the Chargers got a tackle for a 6th-round pick from New Orleans. Chargers' offensive line has been decimated on the left side because of injuries. They've lost both of their tackles. They got a guy who's going to start for them for a 6th-round draft pick.
Do you think the Patriots thought they needed a tackle?
I think the odds of both Will Campbell and Morgan Moses making it to the finish line is remote, considering Moses' injury history and the lack of depth on that offensive line and the fact that you have a kid that you want to protect. Yes, I think that they certainly could have used an upgrade, and if the Patriots are being honest with themselves, they could have used the depth. A 6th-round pick for an offensive lineman is nothing.
But is he in an expiring deal?
I did not look at that. I don't know, but it shouldn't matter.
Well, you're banking on someone getting hurt.
Yeah.
So no, I understand what you're saying, but you said that the Chargers are going to start the guy.
Well, they are because they don't have a left tackle.
Well, yeah, but that's why they made the trade, is because they were in a desperate situation.
I think if the Patriots had said, "We'll give you a 5th," they probably would have gotten the deal done. All I'm saying is there were minor things the Patriots could have done and didn't. And it was needed. We've gone over and over again about how this team is lacking with depth in many key positions and how this roster isn't nearly as good as the record would indicate. Here was a chance to get some depth and make the roster better.
And if you really want that 5th-round pick back, maybe you package up one of your 4 6th-rounders that you have in 2026 and move back into the 5th round for the upcoming draft. You have 4 6th-round picks.
I heard this on one of the shows yesterday. What if Vrabel says, look, I have this locker room right where I want them. They're in completely buying in. If I make a trade and bring a guy in to usurp someone's job, I'm throwing off the balance of that. I'm not rewarding the guys for buying in and playing the way they've played. That was a theory that was thrown out there that I didn't think was ridiculous.
I don't think it's ridiculous, but I also don't think that there's any one person that could point and say, hey, I'm the one who's getting screwed over here. There's a bunch of guys who have elevated a little bit or a lot, if you want to, in the case of DeMario Douglas or Kayshon Boutte.
Well, the guy losing their job would be the guy that was the guy that got screwed.
Okay. Well, I think if you go far enough down the roster, there are guys down there who are, buy-in or not, if you end up getting a better player, this presumably has happened to each one of these guys at some point in their career. It does happen. And at some point,
it's a relatively young team, though. So all I'm saying is that there is a point to be made that he goes, look, we're 7-2. We don't have a great deal of talent. There's no way we're going to upgrade the talent here's what, because you're talking about like, okay, bringing depth, which I thought was a possibility. But then I heard this. I didn't come up with it, but I thought it. So just go through this line of thinking. Right. That Vrabel goes, look, we're so far outperforming our talent right now that everyone knows. You know, I know, the audience, unless they're kidding themselves, know this is not an exceptionally talented team. Exceptionally talented quarterback, not an exceptionally talented team. And a defense that has talented pieces. And Vrabel goes, okay, it's not so much even the draft capital. It's that if I upset like any of this ecosystem, and there is like this belief that your job's not safe even if you're performing well, then it's not worth it. It's not worth it for this year, and it's not worth it for the long haul. Like this depth piece, sure, if Moses gets hurt, that, this depth piece can, slot in, but I don't know if that's going to happen, and do I really want to upset things just in case?
I think if you bring in a backup, it's not going to rock the boat. And if they had gotten Rashid Shaheed, he would have replaced Kyle Williams, who's a rookie and knows he's not playing well. The guy can't get on the field.
They can't cut Kyle Williams though, so they'd have to cut someone else.
Maybe, but I don't think it would be okay, fine. But it wouldn't be a major piece that you would lose. All I'm saying is, and I understand the theory, I get it, but I was just talking about adding guys around the fringes. And I don't think that would rock the boat significantly to the point where you'd have to worry that your locker room would be worse off than it was before.
But why take the chance if it's not going to really improve the team?
Well, you're trying to win.
And you're trying to add some depth. And look, if you operate under that, and I'm not saying it's useless or that it wasn't considered, but if you use that as one of your main decision touchstones, right? What is this going to do to the locker room? How's this going to affect the guys and their work ethic? Then you can't reasonably make any trade other than to get rid of a guy who is a locker room problem.
But there's guys you can claim. It's not like, if you need depth, if you're just trading for depth pieces, just because the trade deadline's over, there's not guys you can claim. Like there's, borderline NFL players floating around that you can get your hands on.
But these guys would have come cheap, and they're better than anyone else you could have claimed.
But they might not play.
Shaheed definitely would have played.
Well, no, Shaheed Shaheed, but Shaheed would have played, but that would have definitely disrupted things. But I understand Shaheed would have played. But you were talking about offensive line depth. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that, the Chargers bring in a guy and they're like, we have 2 injuries, he's going to start. You bring in a guy and you're just like, you're taking away a job, for no reason.
I'll risk DeMontre Jacobs being upset.
It's the locker room. It's not DeMontre Jacobs. It's the locker room.
The message this sends to the locker room is we're having a good season. This is potentially a problem down the line. I want to make sure we guard against that. We're trying to win games. We've won 7. We're far better than I thought we would be. Let's improve our chances, however remote they are, that if Morgan Moses gets hurt or Will Campbell gets hurt, it doesn't sink us. I think the message is a positive one if you bring in.
I think John could be a football coach with a speech like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, just tell him that. And this all could be for nothing anyway. As valid as it is, and it's a worthwhile opinion, everyone seems to think it's just about wanting the draft picks, saving the capital for the actual money for contracts down the road, and B, like Phil Perry said, like Greg Bedard is about to say, it's about those draft picks and them not wanting to get rid of them.
The guys who are making the decisions, and I'm sure you're going to say, put the Crafts in there. But, Vrabel, Cowden, Stryker, these guys, they came in with a plan. Like, you can't build a sustainable winner until you turn the tide. You have to completely flip that. And how do you do that? You keep your draft picks. You get a lot of draft picks.
So saving all 4 of those 6th rounders.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
No,
that's not the argument.
Nope.
that I thought was
that
wasn't the one I was pointing to.
There were arguments to be made, and Fred, yours, the one you proposed, makes a lot more sense.
That's just the one I heard that I was like, oh, that's like something I didn't think about.
I like yours better than that one.
No, hanging on to a 7,000 six-round picks doesn't make any sense to me now.
The money with the players that departed, what was it, last week? Keon White.
Yeah.
And
Kyle Duggar.
Kyle Duggar, right?
Yep.
Didn't you think they were like kind of positioning themselves to be in a spot where they could bring on some money?
But I also thought they were getting rid of players that they didn't feel fit the program and maybe they had an issue with.
Well, that was Duggar from the
start. Duggar they
That's
certainly had an issue with, and I think that was addition by subtraction. And that, look, we can get a little – as soon as we can get anything for these guys, we're going to get rid of them. But I didn't think one was because of the other, but I certainly didn't think that at the end of the trade deadline they would have turned out to be quote unquote sellers. I mean, that's a little bit of a misnomer, but they traded two guys and they didn't bring in anyone.
Right.
But look, and did I think they would get depth pieces? Yes, but the only explanation that I've heard that made any sense to me, and I'm not even really arguing for it, it just made sense to me. Because, again, I thought, why not get depth? Was like, why upset the apple cart? That makes a lot more sense to me than we're hanging on to 6-round picks that their chances of, like, if you have like 4, 6-round picks, the chances of hitting on half of those is 0, especially on this roster where you're not just like looking for bodies. Now, I know that you have guys on this team that are like 1-year rentals that you brought in free agency and stuff like that. But still, 4 6-round picks aren't making this team. No, I don't buy that.
The thing I would use to answer it is what John said, is to, we didn't want to upset the apple cart. I would paraphrase John and say, well, don't worry, this apple cart will be upset if we just get one more injury. I'm not talking about Drake May. It could be just a guard. It could be
one of your tackles, a defensive lineman.
Defensive lineman. The apple cart will be upset by that, and that's what we're trying to guard.
Andrew Callahan sat here yesterday and said if they lose one edge rusher, they're screwed. Right. And he's right.
But other than the early trade with the Miami edge rusher, I don't know if there was any edge rushers that you really wanted. And again, just it's not like you can't pick up someone if someone gets hurt. Now, you're not going to pick up, a great player, but you can pick up a body if someone gets hurt. And look, you could have gotten a receiver, but then the argument about getting Shaheed is that now you have Booty, Douglas, and Diggs all playing well. Do I want to – and May's having a historic season. Now, I'm just doing this in my own head. Do I want to bring another guy in and go and get that rotation out of whack? Because May couldn't be playing better. I know he fumbled and threw that interception, but let's just go with the fumble. But, like, statistically, he really is having a historic year in a lot of categories. Do I want to mess with that? I just think they're playing with house money right now, and maybe that's the theory, is that why upset this? Everything seems to be going really well. We've established ourselves as a playoff team. How much do we want to screw around with this?
You can never have too many deep threats on a team. We don't know how Booty's hamstring is. I mean, maybe this is a sign that Booty's – maybe this is a sign that Booty's –
Maybe they do. Have you ever thought about that, John? Well, anyway.
If you're playing with house money, then you spend it. You
double down, man. You go get it.
You just said you were playing with house money. I agree.
All right, Vegas. Captain Vegas. I used the wrong term.
Well, your metaphor stunk.
Well, I accept
stunk
that.
like a hot garbage. And
I accept that.
I'm not going to sit here and let it go.
I won't take your gaslighting. All right. Look, what do I care? I'm defending the Patriots, and if you don't like that, then fine. I have other issues that I was
at the end of all this.
Yesterday.
Please know, I don't care.
I don't.
But
if I did, this is the argument I would use.
It was the only look. It was an argument that I heard that made a little bit of sense. All right. I certainly don't think that they're. I don't buy that they're preciously hanging on to 6th-round picks. That I don't believe. So if you're asking me what I believe, I'm just making the argument for something I didn't even come up with, but it sounded more reasonable than we're hoarding 6th-round picks.
Well, before we get to what the Bruins did last night, there is one explanation as to why the Cowboys did what they did. That came from the owner himself, and we got to hear that when we return.
He's a lunatic. What a horrible trade by him. All right,
well, he's got his reasons, and they're tough to argue against.
Well, listen, that defense is going to be really good by the time that Williams is 30. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins won their 4th in a row, 4-3 over the Islanders in a shootout last night. Murat Husnudinov, the game winner, plus the game-tying goal. Bruins play Ottawa at TD Garden tomorrow night. Patriots back at practice today. They visit Tampa Bay on Sunday. No deals at the deadline for the Patriots. A lot of deals at the deadline around the league. The Jets made the 2 big ones. Sauce Gardner sent to Indianapolis. Quinnen Williams traded to Dallas. Trevor Story has opted into the final 2 years of his contract. Jaron Duran has signed a 1-year, $7.7 million deal avoiding salary arbitration. And the Celtics play tonight. They will play tonight at home against the Washington Wizards. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They're teaming with Charlie McAvoy for 73 reasons to provide funding and health screens for first responders. Learn more at servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Stay tuned for
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Very quickly, if I may, RJ is weighing in on the Patriots. RJ, go ahead.
Hey, Fred, real quick, the new show with Hardy, not that it's new anymore, but I absolutely love it. You guys are awesome. I love what the Jets did yesterday as a Pats fan. I mean, Fred, I think that trade was horrible for Indy. So great, revitalize, take your shots in the draft. But I completely agree with you, Fred. If you're doing your job, you can't be replaced. You're doing like Caleb on Chason, for example. He's doing a great job. You can't bring someone else in to replace him. That sends a horrible message. I completely agree with you, Fred. You don't mess what we got going on right now. We're not a great, talented team. Do not mess up the ecosystem. You're absolutely right.
All right. Well, in fairness, it was not my thought. It was just a thought that made more sense, certainly, than they were hanging on to precious sixth-round picks, which I don't think is the – I think it was more we're playing well. Is there any talent out there that we feel justifies the upsetting of the locker room? That's all. And I didn't make it up. I heard it, and I went, oh, that sounds reasonable. But John, you were much more bullish on them you thought they should make a big move, which isn't ridiculous. I mean,
I wanted them, and it's all because the AFC is wide open. If Baltimore was Baltimore and Kansas City, well, Kansas City is Kansas City for the most part.
And Baltimore could be Baltimore, but go ahead.
But yeah, there are no monsters out there in the AFC. I mean, this is an unusual year, and you happen to be one of the best teams right now. So why not take a chance and get your team? There are no guarantees you're going to be able to run this back next year and have the exact same thing happen.
Well, you're not going to have as good a record next year. We've seen the schedule just based on travel alone.
Based on opponents, travel and opponents.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying obviously there's the opponents, but even travel alone is the point I was making. Is that you're going to have to go most likely to Brazil. You're going to have to go out twice to the West Coast.
Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll stack those two games back to back. Probably not, but
hell no. Hell no, are they going to do that? I told you.
I heard this. Go out, stay in the same building. You could play the Chargers and Rams back to back.
So before the season, I told you the schedule guy for the NFL was on Mad Dog, and he was very personable. But they're like, "You gonna have a game in Abu Dhabi, yeah?" And he goes, "Yep, probably." And they go, "Well, you got to give a team a bye week after." And he goes, "Not necessarily." Huh.
All right.
And he goes, all right.
I don't care.
And then he goes like, what's up with Minnesota? You know, they're out in, I think Minnesota had 2 games in like overseas in a row. And he's like, you got to make a deal with them.
They did.
And he goes, no. And so I told you, he was just like freedom rocket and everything. He was nice. He wasn't being a dick. But, like, everything was like, are you conceding anything to these teams? And it was no. So, look, are they going to have 2 West Coast games in a row? What do I know? Maybe. But if you think the league is going to give them the 2 West Coast games in a row to make things easier on them, the answer to that, I can tell you, is absolutely not. That would not be the reason they have the 2 out west. So, look, it's just going to be a lot more difficult travel-wise. And I don't know for a fact they're doing it in Brazil. I just heard they were. And I could, what do I know? But people who know told me that they thought they were. But it's just going to be a lot more difficult. And we went over the schedule yesterday. And outside of the division,
very, very difficult.
It's an extraordinarily difficult schedule.
It's the NFC North next year. So you're at Detroit. You play Minnesota.
And then you got to play an AFC West team and an NFC West team. And based on your record, and that's going to be either most likely Seattle or the Rams, and it's going to be Kansas City or Denver.
Yeah, and you're at the Chargers. I mean, these are teams that are good now that are going to be good next year, and you're going to have to deal with that. So that even strengthens my point.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
You are 7-2 in a down year for the AFC. This is your chance. The window is open. I understand about building a program, and you know what? Even though they didn't make the big move yesterday, I thought they should have helped their depth. And you know what? It would be like building 19. Good stuff, cheap. There was a lot of good stuff out there you could have gotten cheap yesterday, and you didn't.
All right. If you're Jerry Jones, there's one reason above all others that you would make the moves that you did in order to improve your team right now.
I have a natural urgency because of my age. My tomorrows, the immediate tomorrow, are a big thing to me. I've made some bad decisions, obviously being tried. I am supremely responsible for where we are right now. There's no question about that. I accept that. Doesn't deter me from wanting to get it done and get it done now this year.
Right.
Wait, well, make up your mind. Are you deliberately causing drama to keep people on the Cowboys on the top of people's minds?
Sometimes.
Are you trying to win at all costs because you're going to die?
No, sometimes he'll do that, Fred, just to keep him on the front page, to keep him out front. But for these moves, he's doing it because he's very much aware of the fact that he could be dead 6 months from now.
I believe that one
a
lot more than I believe what he said to Stephen A. Smith.
No, look, I might blow up the team. I might screw him up for 2 years from now, but chances are I'm not going to be here, so what do I care?
Well,
I want him to win now.
I don't know off the top of my head, but my suggestion would have been not to trade Micah Parsons then.
Yeah, if you were really trying to win right now, you don't go through all the rigmarole of dealing all those draft picks when you could have signed your own guy.
That was at a time when he wanted to get him out front. So that was an out front move. This is a win move.
Quinnen Williams, pretty good player. He is not even in the conversation with Micah Parsons. If you wanted to keep that defense, you would have kept Micah Parsons. Quinnen Williams is a good player. He's not like a great player. He's not like a game wrecker. Look at his stats. Look at his advanced stats. He's a really good defensive tackle, but he's not a game-wrecking force.
The other part of it was Jerry Jones got rid of Micah Parsons because he stood on principle. You know what? He thought he had a deal. Parsons backed out of it because the agent got involved. Well, do you want to win or not? Do you want to win at all costs or not? If you want to win at all costs, you put your ego aside and go, you know what? Let's re-sign that guy. He's the most valuable defensive player on the planet.
But at that time of the season, you think maybe you can go ahead and win without him. And once you realize that, you're not winning all that much, then you start making moves to win.
Well, and that deal was a deal for a guy that thinks he's dying because it was ludicrous. I was like, I liked Quinnen Williams. And then when I saw the Sauce Gardner thing, look, I just don't like that they're doing this again, but I guess it's better than not doing it. But the Quinnen Williams thing, I'm like, oh my God. You gave a first, a second, and a first round pick from 2 years ago to get Quinnen Williams? All right. That's idiotic. And if you think that's going to take your second to the worst defense in the league and somehow make it like one of the top half defenses in the league, you're out of your mind. The Jets defense a lot of weeks sucked. It sucked against Cincinnati, and Quinnen Williams was on that team and playing in that game. Saw him on the field before the game started.
Very quickly here before we wrap up, the Bruins playing one goal down pretty much all night until 5 minutes left in regulation. When Hustadinov scores, they would play remarkably 5 minutes of overtime, some of it 4-on-4, not all 3-on-3, but without a goal being scored. So they went to the shootout. And
Hustadinov, who tied this game with about 5 minutes to go in regulation. Lefty shot, winds his way to the right circle, shoots and scores! Whipped it past Sorokin, and the Bruins up one here in the shootout.
All right, so we had no time. So they won 4 in a row.
Jeremy Swayman was perfect in the shootout.
And so, Fluto Shinzawa gave us some insight into how the Bruins were playing, like defensively, like how literally they were playing, like what their strategy was defensively. And he thinks that if they continue, and watching the game last night, you kind of saw it.
They were really good. They were a couple dumb mistakes, but they played really well.
They're attacking. They're not letting people gain any room in the zone. Like if it's 5-on-5, they're attacking the guy with the puck, regardless if he's up by the blue line. To simplify it as much as I can, it seemed like they were doing that last night, at least for my, uninformed eyes. And Fluto seems to think if they play this way, they could sneak into the playoffs.
Good couple ugly goals. Hustidinov's game-tying ugly goals. They crashed the net. It's never pretty. There's no tic-tac-toe stuff. This is not beauty in the offensive game, but I like that win last night a lot.
All right, we will be right back.
News FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins snapped a 4-game road losing streak and won their 4th in a row overall last night, 4-3 over the New York Islanders in a shootout. Jeremy Swayman made 29 saves in net and watched Marat Hustadinov score both the game-tying and game-winning goals.
Oh man, it's awesome to see. He's a resilient individual, that's for sure. Again, just keeps that mindset of happiness, gratefulness, gratitude. He's getting rewarded for it. He's a great player and obviously making some strides. So we're really happy to see that, and I know he's going to keep doing that.
The Bruins are now 8-7 overall. They'll have tonight off. They will host Ottawa tomorrow night. Patriots will be back at practice today. They visit Tampa Bay Sunday. Their roster today is exactly the same as it was yesterday after they didn't make a trade before the deadline. Chargers free agent wideout Brendan Rice, the son of Hall of Famer Jerry Rice, has been signed to the practice squad. Jets made a pair of big deals yesterday. Sauce Gardner sent to Indianapolis for 2 first-round draft picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell. Defensive lineman Quinnen Williams was traded to Dallas for first- and second-round picks and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. And in Red Sox news, Trevor Story has opted into the final 2 years of his contract. Jarren Duran has avoided salary arbitration by signing a 1-year, $7.7 million deal, and the team has declined the option of reliever Liam Hendricks. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the 99, like the new grilled teriyaki chicken available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
And he scores! What a blast by Pastrnak!
The Bruins play here.
And now, back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Went to like Wesleyan.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's certainly a little.
I think
bit
he
of
did go to Wesleyan, and it's like there's like a lot of. I don't know. I didn't really believe it, and I think Heems was in a lot of drug problems at that point,
Yes.
and I think that might have manifested itself.
What's the late night show they did where they were just absolutely out of their minds?
Well,
it
that was Conan O'Brien,
Yeah.
but I think that was kind of they were afraid to be doing it. I looked at it as more like they were not trying because
Yeah.
they were afraid if they tried
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it didn't work, they'd look stupid.
That's fair.
That's how I interpreted that. All right, listen. There is a lot going on with the NFL trade deadline. TJ, go ahead.
Fred, real quick, I think you should feel really good about this Dallas trade. I think this may be the beginning of the Jets getting a lot better because they're stacking picks and the finger quotations America's team kind of falling off the map. I'd just like to know, are the Jets stacking these picks to maybe trade for a quarterback or trade up in the draft?
Yes, they're stacking picks to trade for a quarterback. There's no question. And the thing with the Jets is I've been through this so many times, and I just wish it worked and they could just win consistently. So, yeah, did they do the right thing? Look, you're right about the Cowboys. That trade for Quinnen Williams, look, I like Quinnen Williams a lot, and I thought they'd keep him, and I was fine with that. I cannot believe that the Cowboys gave up a first-round pick from 2 years ago, a second-round pick this year, and a first-round pick for a guy making a lot of money who's about to turn 28, who's a good defensive tackle. He's not Micah Parsons. It's just ridiculous. They've turned Micah Parsons into nothing.
Jerry made a huge mistake. Like Hardy was saying, he's made a huge mistake, and now he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He's in panic mode and grabbing, shiny thing. Let's go get that.
I mean, you can't. And by the way, that first round pick in 2020. First of all, the second round pick this year is going to be a good second round pick. And second, who's to say that 2027 first round pick's not going to be a top half of the draft pick? Why would you think it wouldn't be? Like, how are they going to get better? So, I mean, it's just way too much. The Jets defense wasn't very good with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner on it. How is the Dallas defense going to go from a worse defense than the Jets into something playoff worthy with the acquisition of Quinnen Williams? All right, this goes back to just to kind of get back to the Patriots. John was very bullish on the Patriots doing something. His reasoning is not unsound. If I could speak for John, just to encapsulate it quickly, John's, and you'll have plenty of time to talk. But John's thing was like, look, your schedule next year is very difficult, and it's going to be very, very difficult. You play the NFC North, you're playing the AFC West, and the two games that you have are out west. The AFC game that based on record is going to be out in the AFC or the NFC West, and you're going to have to play
at the Chargers.
At the Chargers, but you're going to have to play at the Rams or at the Seahawks.
More likely, yes.
Well, or San Francisco. It's one of those three, and I don't think it's going to be San Francisco, and that's not easy either. So your schedule is going to be very, very difficult. It's going to go from being historically easy, which is great because you're getting the season, but next year it's going to be on the other side. It's going to be one of the more difficult in the league, short of injuries again happening for these other teams. So we heard Bedard say they didn't want to get rid of picks because that's how you build the team. I find it very difficult to believe the Patriots didn't make trades because they were hoarding 6th-round picks. Bedard knows way more about football than me. I just don't buy that line of thinking. What I think is more likely is something I might have also heard on Felger and Maz, and it might have also been from Bedard. So maybe this was his point too, is that seems to be complete buy-in with this team. Are you willing to usurp someone's job who's been doing their job well and buying in for a depth piece or a fix, especially at receiver, where your top 3 receiver slots seem to have been playing over potential, really, or over what you thought they'd be. Sam says this, and that was not my take. It makes sense to me more than they're hoarding 6th-round picks. And I was never of the mind that they had to make a big deal, I thought they'd make deals, but I didn't think they were going to do anything of consequence. This is not, I'm reading this just to get you going, John, not to celebrate me, because this, again, was not my take. No, this is really for you to talk about football. Mm-hmm. I'm not setting you up for anything.
Go ahead.
But it says, thank you, Fred. Once again, the voice of reason against that supposed sports guy on the panel, John.
Oh, boy.
Again, this was not my take. I can't take credit for it. It just made more sense than hoarding picks.
Okay.
The receiver thing, because you were big on them getting for the kid from New Orleans,
Shaheed.
And I said, well, you got Booty, Douglas, and Diggs. What's Shaheed going to really do? The receiver thing, does John seriously think adding another mid-level receiver does anything? Mid-season additions at wide receiver rarely pan out. Mohamed Sanu work out. And the kid from Ohio State that they got, not very good. And with back in the day. And with the way Drake May has connected with everyone but Kyle Williams, why would you want to mess that up? Adding Shaheed takes Booty, Diggs, Douglas, or Hollins off the field, and for what reason? 80% of the time. Only 2 of them are on the field anyway. To add a guy who might be ever marginally better and say F the 6 months of practice and chemistry they've been putting in is truly an idiotic take. And then I won't read the rest. And add an offensive lineman who moves linemen at the deadline, let alone, well someone did, let alone an actual useful lineman.
New Orleans did. That's exactly what happened. That's what I was basing my opinion on. A 6th-round pick for a guy who can really help either right or left tackle can certainly help your team.
And just to finish his point, if Moses gets hurt, that sucks. But you don't bury a rookie Bryant, who the coaches felt comfortable elevating to the lead swing tackle spot to add depth.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you're a team that's trying to win, yes, you do. That's exactly what you do. And as far as Shaheed goes, he adds something that you don't have. And any of those receivers, as good as they are, speed. That's something that, as good as these receivers have been, and they're all way over potential, speed. You have a guy who can, using the cliche, take the top off the defense. None of your other wide receivers can do that.
Booty can.
He is not as fast as this kid.
Yeah, but Mays had historical success throwing the ball long,
yes.
and Booty's been the recipient of that. Mm-hmm. Booty's plenty fast.
He is, but this guy's faster, and someone that an opposing defensive coordinator will go, oh, maybe, pay a little attention to that guy. Is Shaheed a Pro Bowler? Is he a great receiver? No, but he adds a dynamic that you didn't have before. And once again, it guards against injury. If Booty's out for a while, this kid can step in and replace him. You don't have to put Kyle Williams out there.
But maybe they don't think that. Well, Kyle Williams is a whiff. Kyle Williams isn't going to do anything.
And as long as Booty is hurt, Kyle Williams is going to get more playing time.
But maybe they think Booty's not hurt for very long. And we had Callahan in, and he thought he'll miss Sunday and maybe Thursday because of the short week, but maybe not. But he thinks that's it. So would you bring in Shaheed for 2 games?
I would have brought him in regardless. I think
at the expense of whom?
Well, Williams off the field, and I have to be honest with you. I really don't mind sitting Pop Douglas down. I don't mind sitting any.
He had a very good game.
Diggs. I don't mind sitting these players down. I don't. I think Drake May can mask whatever differences that will happen on the field. That's how good he is.
But who would you sit? Like out of the 4 receivers, Hollins, Diggs, Booty, and Douglas, you'd sit Douglas?
I'd sit Hollins. Sure, I would.
No, but Hollins plays a different role. Hollins is basically out there as a blocker.
Yeah, he's out there getting setting illegal picks so that you can pick up a first down on a 3rd and 8.
I would sit Pop Douglas if this kid can go long and give you more of a dynamic trio.
But let me ask you this though. But so you would make a deal to sit Pop Douglas, who's played well this year?
Yes, he has. But I think if you have this kid on the field with Drake May, that adds a different element to the offense that wasn't there before. And it wasn't like he was expensive. If New Orleans had traded Shaheed for a 2nd-round pick, I would have said, okay, that's too expensive for this kid. But all I got was a 4 and a 5 for him. The Patriots are silly with late-round picks. I think giving away a 4 and a 5 for a guy who can help you is a minimal cost to pay.
Says if they added an edge or a running back for sure. People talk about Breece Hall, and I guess Breece Hall wanted to get traded. Breece Hall wants to get paid. I think the Jets were perfectly comfortable keeping Breece Hall unless they got a 3rd. And I wouldn't have given a 3rd pickup for a rental running back, especially if I was the Patriots. I mean, Breece Hall is better than any running back you have, but you're going to give a 3rd round, and the 3rd round pick's a real pick. You're going to give up a 3rd round pick for a month, 2 months of Breece Hall?
Sure.
And because I don't think the Jets, it was a fire sale. But, I don't even know if I call that a fire sale because you got a ton for the 2 guys that you traded. I don't think that they felt like they had to trade Breece Hall, and that's in defense of the Patriots. And certainly in the division, I don't think that. Look, I'm sure someone offered a 5th for Breece Hall, and they didn't do it. I think that they wanted. So I just don't think it was as simple as throwing a pick at Breece Hall. Tim is on your side, Johnny boy. Tim, go ahead.
So, Fred, I didn't expect them to reach far and, give up 2 first round, 2 second round. But the whole description of Bradbury was he was not a very good center and he's average. Like a team like the Jets is dropping everything. They don't have some young center there that's promising. I was totally shocked that they didn't grab that or a backup linebacker. It was just.
Well, the Jets were just in terms of the Jets. They weren't going to trade any of their offensive linemen. They're young and good. But no, there was no way that was going to happen. The argument, I guess, against the O-line depth, which I thought they would trade for O-line depth too. The only argument that I heard that justified any of it, and I don't know if it does, but it certainly makes more sense than hoarding 6th-round picks, which I just don't believe you do. I just don't think any GM, if you brought him in here and put him on a lie detector, goes, I'm very protective of my 6th-round picks. I just don't think that's true. Is that they didn't believe any of the talent available for that cost was A, marketably better than what they already had, and B, was worth the locker room disruption. That's all. And that's the only thing I can believe.
So, Fred, I mean, your quarterback's getting banged around. It's coming from somewhere. So,
but they weren't going to get anyone that was going to improve that. You understand? Like, they weren't going to get anyone that was going to start for them. John even concedes that. You're right. The lineman that the Chargers got was because they're in a desperate situation. And the lineman the Chargers got is so far worse than the two guys that are hurt that it's unbelievable.
Sure. Oh, I'm not saying
no,
that.
no. Of course you're not. I'm saying to the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost two like all-world defensive or offensive tackles. They were desperate. So, and John's not saying that he was going to take over for Moses, or obviously the kid Campbell. So it would be a depth piece. And again, yesterday, first of all, none of this would bother me as a Patriots fan. But we're just making an argument that John was more of like going all in, which is an interesting point because you are 7-2.
Yes,
you're 7-2, and you have a chance to win this division. Next year is much more difficult. Would you make a move for this season?
Yeah, the odd. Not only is the schedule more difficult, there are no guarantees. I mean, you're having a historically healthy season here to all of your key players. I mean, there's got to be an injury next year. The odds are overwhelmingly in that favor, considering how healthy everyone's been all year.
I'll ask you this. Do you think that the Chargers were smart going all in on this season because that means they're all in on Daniel Jones? This isn't even a Patriots question. The Colts. What I said, Indianapolis.
Chargers. You said Chargers.
Oh, Chargers.
Yes.
My bad. Do you think the Colts were smart giving up 2 first-round picks and an existing player for this season? This is separate from the Patriots thing because that means they're all in on Daniel Jones, not just for this year.
Yeah.
That this means they're not getting a quarterback.
Right.
This means that Daniel Jones is their quarterback.
I applaud them because they too saw an opening. Okay, we're wide open here. We technically have the best record in the AFC. Let's go get an impact player. But boy, first of all, I would never throw all of my weight behind that quarterback. And second of all, that's a huge price to pay. I understand you have him. You have his contract. He's signed up for a while. But wow, that's a lot to give up.
Yeah, that made more sense than Dallas, which makes no sense.
No, that obviously, yes.
I mean, how can you be a Cowboy fan? Look, the Jets are atrocious, and their owner sucks, but at least they're not. Last year they went a little crazy, but once you got Rodgers and you gave up everything to do anything he wanted, what were you going to do? I didn't like it. And he's a terrible owner, but at least it's not some lunatic changing his position and giving up Micah Parsons. What doesn't make sense about the Cowboys is you let Micah Parsons go to get draft picks, to give all those draft picks away, to get a far inferior player. Oh, and then you got a middle linebacker from the worst defense in the NFL.
See, to me, the Colts thing is you want to talk about extremes. Like, nobody wanted the Patriots to do something like that.
No.
There's no need to do that. Well, the Colts can do it, though. Why? Because they don't need those 2 first-round picks going forward because they've got their quarterback. I wouldn't feel that way if I were the Colts. I mean, nice season. Everything is going great. You've got a great running back there, which I think is helping mask some of the issues that you probably still have at the most important position. But for them to do that, oof.
And by the way, Ballard, their GM, is really conservative. So this was like way out of left field for him. So they're really all in on this. I mean, he believes that they were a corner away. And Orlovsky, who doesn't know the name of the Jets GM, which I don't know the name of any GMs, but I'm not Dan Orlovsky. I got to talk about sex and things as well as sports. But, and more than just football. I mean, I'm an expert on all sports. He thinks now the Colts have the best secondary in football. And I don't know the situation in their secondary. Because what do I care about the Colts? They're boring. Even when they had Peyton Manning, they were boring. There's another guy that agrees with you, Johnny, but for unfortunately, we are already past our break.
We don't have time to take someone else who agrees with you, Johnny.
Yeah, I think I treated that more than fair. We will be right back. Alex Barth will join us.
More Toucher and Hardy next on the Sports Hub.
time with the Patriots the most. 985thesportshub.com. You can see all his videos, all his articles, all his great stuff. Alex, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. So what did you make of the inactivity at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I don't think as surprised as some. Look, at the end, it is the NFL trade deadline, and that Sauce Gardner trade, Haley's Comet of sports transactions, that you get a big deal at the NFL trade deadline. I wasn't expecting them to make a major splash. I didn't think, a starter was on the table, but especially after they moved Kyle Duggar, Keon White last week, I thought maybe they were setting themselves up some more roster shuffling like they've done back to the spring. Vrabel getting in his guys. Edge rusher felt like, and I guess still does feel like, a position of need. They're a little thin there in terms of depth. Linebacker, safety, they're a little thin in terms of depth. Running back, maybe Ramondre Stevenson, that toe injury was a one-game thing, and he's back, and that would shore up that running back depth a little bit more. But if he's not, if he's going to miss a little more time, that's a thin spot. So I thought they were set up well with 4 6-round picks to add some depth and sort of bolster the roster at these spots. The fact they didn't do that surprised me, but I didn't think they were one of these teams that was going to come out and take a big swing.
No, not a big swing, but something. There's, there are enough depth issues right now. There's enough, actual issues too, to you think, all right, would it have been possible, just based on the moves that you saw yesterday, Alex, and the things that were available out there that didn't get moved, for them to package up, I don't know, one of those many 6th-rounders that they have last year, maybe even a 5th-rounder, do something to either help them at depth, whether it's on the offensive line, whether it's on the defense, anything out there?
I thought the edge rusher market materialized in a way that they probably could have jumped in there. And, there was some reporting that maybe the Titans weren't going to trade with them, because I was looking at guys on the Titans, Draymond Jones, Arden Key, being fits.
And do you believe that the whole burning of bridges between Mike Vrabel and the Titans, that they just wouldn't make a deal with the Patriots?
From what I've heard from people who cover the Titans about that ownership group, I could see it.
Oh, that's good stuff. You got to like
really
that if you're
smart.
We talked about this last time I was in with you guys. Like, did they fire their coach? Like, the timing of firing their coach because Vrabel was coming to town.
That makes more sense than shooting your, because what's the consequence of that? Like, that's just pride, but actively, sabotaging your team in a way for spite of something that no one even thinks about outside of that building.
Outside of that building, and here in New England, it's one guy. There's a couple other, the Vrabel loyalists too, but it's like that's really personal. That's not the Jets not dealing with the Patriots and vice versa.
Well, that's a divisional.
That's
thing,
a divisional thing. Okay, that I get, but. All right, so there may have been something with the Titans. Anything else?
Look, I don't get it, but there's 30 other teams you could have dealt with too. That there's some teams that had some edge rushers. I think the divisional thing hurt them between Miami and the Jets. Those were really the two big sellers. And Diana Rossini, I believe it was, reported the Jets were not going to trade in the division. I would not be surprised if Miami kind of had the same mindset. So. We're getting those reports leading up till 4:00 that Breece Hall, the Jets won a third. It's not on the table. They're going to see what they can get. You run that down to the end. If the Jets really want to unload them because they were doing a fire sale, does a 4th and a 6th get it done? If there's no third on the table,
no,
maybe they'd push there.
I don't think that they wanted to trade Hall for less than a 3, because I think that they think he's 24 and that they're going to bring a quarterback in and that they wouldn't mind him around. I know he said he wanted to trade. I think if they gave him a contract, he'd be perfectly fine staying. I think the Jets were pretty locked in. Believe me, after I heard the first trade, believe me, I consumed a lot yesterday. So It doesn't seem to me like they were willing to move Hall for less than a third, and I don't think there was any way that Patriots were going to give that up, nor should they have.
They shouldn't have.
And I don't think the Jets would have. The Jets would have traded him to the Patriots for a third. I do think they would have done that. All right. Okay, so they didn't do anything, and no one expected them to go crazy. Now, let's go to the reasoning for it. There's 2 things I heard yesterday, and I'm not going to lead you down either one. One is that picks are too precious to be given up and that they are not in a position to give any up. The other is that Vrabel has buy-in, and that when you bring, and this is not something I had heard, or I've heard of it, obviously. I didn't think of it. But Vrabel has buy-in, and any time you make a trade that takes away someone's job and that disrupts the ecosystem of the locker room. So unless you feel it's a major upgrade, I guess I am leading you somewhere. Unless you feel it's a major upgrade, is it worth the possible damage to the room? And which one of those do you think is more likely?
I think it's probably a combination of the two, because if you're talking about the chemistry shakeup, that Vrabel was asked that question after they traded away Keon White and Kyle Duggar last week.
But he wanted those away. He wanted those guys away for chemistry.
Right, and he probably had his finger on the pulse. We can move these guys, and people will still be feeling good. But in that answer, he talked about, this is a multi-year build of a program that they're putting together. And would they like to win the Super Bowl this year? Yes, I'm sure every team wants to. But I do think they have a long-term approach that starting 7-2 is not going to impact that long-term approach. So I don't think it's like the precious picks that they can't trade, but I do think there's an element of they're not going to rush their timeline because of the record. They believe in what their timeline is to get to where they need to be.
Okay, I think I'm being more specific because obviously if I'm them, I can see not wanting to give up one of your first or second day picks.
Yeah.
Obviously. I'm talking about, there were people on the station talking about they didn't want to get rid of 6th-round picks. And I find that very difficult to believe that they hold 6th-round picks precious. That can't be the reason. Or unless it could be. Do you think that's the reason that they're like, we value 6th-round picks so much for our development as a team that we have to hold on to them? That we're going to be very precious with those? Maybe they do.
I that would be surprising to me. Look, if they're one of these teams that made a bunch of trades and had like 4 total draft picks, then maybe they have 4 picks in the 6th round alone.
Yeah.
And they didn't need to blow all of them. But yeah, that's kind of what I thought, right? Is if you flip a 6th-round pick for an edge rusher, or I think that the linebacker from Cincinnati, whose name I'm blanking on, went to the Cowboys for a 7th, right? Which they didn't have, but do a 6-7 swap, something like that. They could have moved on from one of them to bolster the depth a little bit. So I'd be pretty surprised if that's what it was. I just think they're very particular on the right kind of player, the right kind of person for their system, for their culture. And I wonder if that deal, for various reasons, just never materialized. I don't think they went into it thinking we have to get a edge rusher. And it's just whoever we get, we get. They probably had a short list of guys they were interested in. And if you're trying to trade for 20 players, it's a lot easier to get one of them than and I'm just making up numbers here, it's a lot easier than if you're trying to trade for 5 guys to get one of them.
Why? Mike Vrabel's a smart guy. Elliott Wolf is a smart guy. They've made a very good draft picks this year. And I understand your explanation of the plan they have in place, but why doesn't a 7-2 record alter their thinking, considering what's going on in the AFC this year? Shouldn't it?
Because I mean, to an extent, I think that it's the belief in the system. And something I forgot to mention in that too is, and this could be the other side of it, they were like coming out of camp, right? When they moved on from certain players, they put rookies in starting roles. I wrote about this when it happened, right? You cut Jabril Peppers, Craig Woodson's now your starting safety. There's no gray area about it. When they cut Cole Strange, Jared Wilson becomes their starting left guard. There's no gray area about it. They started off that, some other guys, Travion Henderson was going to be in a key role to start the season. I wonder if the flip side of this is now Elijah Ponder is going to play more. Maybe Braden Swinson gets elevated from the practice squad. He's going to play more as that 4th edge guy. And I wonder if they see it as we can move a 6 and get a veteran to fill that role, or this is another chance to give some of our young guys some exposure. And in that sense, if you believe in the guys you drafted, like you said, I think they did pretty well in this last draft. At least it looks so far early on. They look at it and they say, no, like we took an edge guy. We got a UDFA that we like. Maybe they just see it as the player we were going to bring in. Maybe he's a little more stable, but isn't necessarily that much of based on the player that we think Swinson or Ponder isn't that much of an elevation over who those guys could be.
Okay. Who just from a macro, which I love to say, from a macro look at things, who do you how do you think the league did? How individual teams around the league did at the trade deadline?
Fred, the Jets won. The Jets won the trade deadline, and how crazy is it to sit back and say the Jets won something? Look, I think Sauce Gardner's a really good corner. I don't think he's an untouchable level of player. I don't put him on the level of like a Patrick Surtain. to get 2 first-round picks for that guy. They had another first-round pick for Quinnen Williams, guys who probably were not going to be there the next time they're competitive, the way that this rebuild blew up on them. They're in tremendous position now. It doesn't quite help that the next couple quarterback drafts are a little questionable, but there's going to be one guy, at least, between the next 2 drafts, and they're in the best position of any team to go get him. They got to identify him right and go get him, but they're in great position. They weren't going anywhere. They did a fire sale at a time when nobody in the league really does that. I think they've put themselves in a pretty good position. I think the Cowboys are starting to round the corner a little bit from the Micah Parsons trade. I like Quinnen Williams for them. They're building through the interior. You know, you put him next to Kenny Clark, and we've seen in New England with Milton Williams and Christian Barmore what a strong interior rush can do. I don't think it's quite what Micah Parsons brought, but there's a good element there. I don't know why they're making that trade at 3-5, but I think they're a better football team. I think as a whole, 22 players traded from the start of October. You're still seeing a little more of an uptick towards the NFL trade deadline being a active time, which I think the league wants. I don't think it's ever going to get to where baseball, basketball, and hockey are. It's just not realistic given the way the sport works and how tough it is to get players involved mid-season. But they're, you know, it used to be maybe there were 2 trades and that was it. And you actually have a day worth following now, which I think the league wants. And we know the NFL wants to dominate the calendar any day they can, and they did again yesterday.
Well, I heard an ex-GM talk about it yesterday, and he said the reason that it's becoming more and more of a real thing, like, you know, teams making big deals, is that they have the, you know, in the old days, or not even the old days, like, you know, 15, 20 years ago, it was very like cut and dry. Like, you didn't want to make moves in the middle of the season. Now that you have like expected cost in return, like there's all these formulas of like the value of a first round pick based on the perform. Like they go into these trade deadlines with a much, for right or wrong, a much more scientific barometer on the value of return based on the player going out, and that they feel comfortable doing that in the middle of the season, if that makes any sense. It's a more finite equation than it was other, you know, people. And, you know, Alex, like anything else, once the dam breaks and people start going, I mean, like, if you're right and people go, wow, the Jets got a lot, and I think Quinnen Williams deal, the Cowboys are out of their minds, but the Sauce Gardner deal I got, at least the Quinnen Williams deal, I have no idea why they gave that much up for him. But but at least now, like, that the dam is broken, maybe, you know, the NFL trade deadline becomes something where
that would
there's
be
major.
great. That would be great.
Well, there seems this. I can't forgot who it was. I apologize, but this ex-GM was very. It was like, these guys know the value, and they know the value of where the picks are going to be, and they have formulas that come up with it, and blah 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 blah, and they feel comfortable doing it. So there you go, Alex Barth. Read all about it for the rest of this season as the Patriots challenge for the AFC East title. Big game on Sunday against Tampa Bay. Alex, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, appreciate it. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Make it 4 straight wins for the Bruins. They beat the New York Islanders 4-3 in a shootout. Murat Hustendinov, the game tying goal in the third period and the game winning goal in the shootout. Bruins are back home to play Ottawa tomorrow night. The NFL trade deadline came and went. Patriots did not do anything. They did sign 23-year-old free agent wideout Brendan Rice to the practice squad. He is the son of Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. Couple of big trades yesterday, both of which involved the New York Jets. Sauce Gardner sent to Indianapolis. Quinnen Williams traded to Dallas. Celtics had last night off. They play the Washington Wizards at TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And in Red Sox news, Trevor Story has opted into the final 2 years of his contract. Liam Hendricks has had the option year of his contract declined, and Jaron Duran avoided salary arbitration by signing a 1-year, $7.7 million deal. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They're teaming with Charlie McAvoy for 73 reasons to provide funding and health screens for first responders. Learn more at servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. So yesterday I gave Adam a gift and I said, I want to repeal the street parking ban in Newton, which was up for vote. And I know that they have like a teachers, whatever thing.
School committee
election. So, and my daughter goes to Newton Public Schools. So I'm interested in that. So I asked Adam to research and give me the information, which was, you say, Fred, that's not his job. Oh, no. That was a gift to my good friend.
Yes, it was.
And I'm not joking.
No.
That was I look at that as like Adam was like, oh, I like this. And so Adam did. And I took a picture of it and I voted based on the information that he gave me, which was not partisan. He just gave me straight information on the people. And I voted to repeal the parking ban. And
did that pass, by the way?
I had to have. I can't imagine anyone didn't want that to pass. And so I texted Adam. I text Adam a lot. I've been friends with Adam. I'm very good friends with Adam. And so this is not out of the what would normally happen. And I said, I voted Adam. And then listen to what he says to me. He says, proud of you, Fred. 50 years on and you continue to grow.
Hey.
So I said to him, that sounds like something a parent would say to a kid that was crying about failing a third grade spelling bee. And he goes, but it's me saying it to you so you know it's authentic and heartfelt. Never have I felt worse about myself in my life.
I'd throw my phone away if I got a text like
I wasn't mad. Adam's very sweet, but it just made me feel so broken that I was getting, as a 50-year-old man, credit for voting, taking 10 minutes to vote in an election. Now, why was it 10 minutes, Fred?
Oh, by the way, the push to repeal Newton's winter overnight parking ban met a narrow defeat last night.
It did?
Yes. Neither the yes nor the no side had a plural majority as of late Tuesday night, according to unofficial results from the city clerk's office. The no votes, which won, amount to 48% of the total vote. Yes votes came to 47.7%.
Well, yes meant to repeal it.
Yes, and the no votes came in slightly higher.
Oh, my God. Well, now I know why that happened. Why would anyone not want you to be able to park on the street?
Yeah, it's weird. But it's it's close. I don't know if that's something you can challenge where it's that close. I mean, that's
a runoff?
It's not that big a deal.
A runoff.
I don't know. It's not that.
Yeah.
I don't know where people in Newton think the size of driveways in Newton are. If you have a family of 4, I don't know quite, or a family of 3 even. I don't know how you think you're going to jam all these cars into a driveway, but okay. Boy, that's very surprising. I thought that was something
I'm surprised by it, too.
Well, now I'm not, because this all goes along with what I was about to say. So when you go, like, you can live in a town. Now, I've always said this. When you have little kids and they're playing soccer, like every kid plays soccer, you're going to see parents that you're never going to see again in your entire life. Like, like parents like wearing like hemp pants and like just like you're gonna see parents that are never gonna cross your radar again. And then if you take your dog to a dog park where there happens to be a farmer's market, you will see people walking extraordinarily slow, defying cars, looking, because they've gotten out of their Priuses and they're very upset that you are not driving a Prius, and they look at you with great disdain. That's how they look. I'm paying $50 for a head of lettuce. And there's that. The same thing with the library. There's people there without kids.
They're just coming in to read the newspaper.
Yeah. The funniest thing about the library, I've told you, is they have the free legal newspaper there, which is for all those attorneys that can't afford the legal newspaper. And so, but voting, that is when you really get it. I mean, it looks like worse off, oh, hello, guys. If you want to know who Oh
just
Hello
a bunch of Gil Faisans and George St. Galen's.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Nick Kroll and John Mulaney's two characters of these like Upper West Side Manhattanites that are older and just like Woody Allen-esque. In their dress and demeanor. And I'll tell you, oh my Jesus. Oh, the questions. Because I guess I didn't fill out the census. So everyone that volunteers, I have the utmost respect for. Thank you for volunteering. I do appreciate it. I like that you used your time, and they were very nice. I guess I hadn't filled out the census, so I can't believe that didn't pass. So I had to go. I know. I apologize. And so I got it, and I got the vote, and it was lickety split. But then when you put your ballot in this machine, and so what you do is you put it in the machine.
And it takes it, and then you take your sticker that said I voted, and then you go.
So the arrows in the machine, there's someone standing there to tell you to put it in the machine too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, this, for the woman in front of me, was a problem that needed some discussion. Because she then presented the volunteer that was standing at the machine where you insert the ballot.
Yeah.
And went line item by line item over if her votes were going to count. And this process took 5 minutes.
She wanted to make sure that she had filled the bubble in completely, but hadn't gone over the outside the bubble too much.
Color inside the lines.
I didn't care enough to really investigate what was going on, but I do know that it was me and her, and 5 volunteers, and I sat there for 5 minutes. It took me, I could have been out of there in I didn't fill out the census, but from the time I got my ballot to the time I left, it could have taken me a minute. And there wasn't much to vote on. It's just like in your ward. So it was mayor, school board, city council, and the parking ban, which I can't believe they didn't repeal. But now I know why they didn't repeal it, because there's no way that lady wants you to be able to park on the street. There's no way. That's just, she doesn't. Why? Because I don't like it. Okay. Well, why not? Well, the plows.
Yeah.
Well, I lived in Brighton, and everyone parked on the street, and they plowed every day. So look, you got to dig your car out, but that's because you parked in the street. So what's it to you? Don't park in the street then. But that's why it didn't happen, because that lady doesn't want you parking in the street, and that's the thing. Is that when you go to? That's why you got to vote.
But also
because they're all voting.
The reason why it took her so long is because that's what she had to do yesterday.
I know.
That when you look at her agenda, when you look at her date book, the taking up the entire day was vote.
That's what she had to do this decade, and it took her, I would imagine, the good part of a couple days to get it together to do it. And it's not like she was disabled or something. I'm not poking fun at a disabled person. This is a perfectly healthy person. But she looked as though you would assume she looked. The hair had not been dyed.
Oh, that's too bad.
You and that hair dye.
My mom is 83 and dyes her hair, and she's not getting plastic surgery and stuff, but she at least dyes her hair. And it's not like she's trying to impress my dad. She makes herself presentable.
Look, if you're okay with your mother being all tarted up for no reason in particular, that's on you. Look, that says more about you than it does about the woman who was voting yesterday.
I like it that she goes out there in a pantsuit from Chico's and, dances, shakes it a little bit for the people.
My mother dyes her hair too, but you don't hear me crowing about it and being proud of it.
Hey, listen. My dad's not going to be here forever, and I want my mom at 84, 85, 86, 87, whenever it happens, or at least to get it in, get someone in there. She's a very sexual woman, Hardy. But, I don't even know the brand of jeans. I mean, believe me, she was wearing jeans.
Sassoon, probably holdover from the 70s.
I don't know. Just as soon. I mean, I wouldn't call it denim so much as I would call it something that looked like it had been starched, or perhaps not washed to the point of starch looking. But that means you got to vote, or else the Newton parking ban's not going to get repealed. That's unbelievable. I thought that was going to pass 99%. Shows what I know. All right. Well, so much for voting, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
That load of good that did you.
Yeah, a lot of good that did me. All right. We'll be right back. Chris Forsberg's here.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy.
Tying things up with 4:54 left in regulation, and Marco Stern has seen him respond after promoting him to the top line.
Yeah, no, he's been good. He's just the way I just said on the shootout. He goes out there and plays hockey. All right, he loves it. The guys like him in the room. It's also not fair for me, like put him in a tough spot playing with a superstar like 88. It's not easy, but he's been handling really well, and that's why he got my trust.
Bruins have won 4 straight. They host Ottawa tomorrow night. Patriots will be back at practice today. They visit Tampa Bay on Sunday. No trades for them at the deadline. However, the Patriots did sign Chargers free agent wideout Brendan Rice to the practice squad. He is the son of Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. New York Jets made a pair of big trades yesterday before the deadline. Sauce Gardner sent to Indianapolis. Quinnen Williams traded to Dallas. Celtics had last night off. They play the Washington Wizards at TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max had the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Everyone except for Jason Tatum available to play tonight. And in Red Sox news, Trevor Story has opted into his contract. Jarren Duran has signed a 1-year, $7.7 million deal avoiding salary arbitration, and the Sox have declined the option on a contract of reliever Liam Hendricks. Sports Hub headlines are powered by Oakers Technologies. Winning starts with being prepared, and when it comes to technology, nobody prepares your company for the future better than Oakers. So get future ready with Oakers, proud partner of your New England Patriots. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Here's Pasternak, high slot. Right circle to Zacha. Sends one across. McAvoy shot, and he scores!
The Bruins play here. Why do people listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Because it's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
Yeah, I mean, it's transition defense.
Always play this New Jack Swing music when Chris Forsberg's in here, but as always...
and
Hardy,
it is appreciated, 12. Thank you.
But is it? Because, Hardy, you were having a conversation with Chris, and I wasn't eavesdropping. No, not really. I was preparing.
You're just sitting there.
The first thing that happened before Chris even came in the studio, John, who does not leave that seat more than once during the 4 hours, and that's generally to get a half a cup of water. And he will do that.
Wet his beak.
He will do. He will go and wet his beak once during the show, and then come back and sit down. Chris shows up. He sprints out of the studio and grabs him out there in the hallway before he can come in to get his alone time with Chris. Which, okay, that's fine. It wouldn't mean that much had I not known that yesterday, Fred. While we were wrapping up our post-show meeting, John and Adam 12 were making lunch plans for today. Mm-hmm. So John is having
Whoa.
These secret clandestine...
What the hell's going on?
Inter-show relationships to which we are not invited. And John
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Shut
Stop.
Your beak.
Stop. We invited you immediately after talking about it, and Hardy, as only Hardy can do, looked at us with disdain and said, I'm not going to you two losers. It's way out of the way.
I did not say that. I said I have
no interest in hanging with you guys. 12, can you back me up on this?
Yes. Would you,
yes,
if you'll
thank
stop,
you.
If you'll shut it for 5 seconds, what I
sorry
said
to ruin
was,
the comedy here.
You must
can't shut up.
Must have golf plans, right?
What I said was, no way I'm going to lunch with you two zeros. That's what I said.
This is the first I'm hearing of any of this, so if anyone should be upset, it's me.
Well, you had already left the room. You were out of there. You were cannonballed right out of there. So you were gone.
And it's not like you have a cell phone that they could text.
Yeah. Like, boy, oh boy, this is a Guy Fieri incident all over it.
The origin of this is the important piece here. The whole way this came up is John and I were having a conversation, how every other Wednesday I've been going out to Framingham for the last few weeks for a workshop that I'm part of. And I mentioned that yesterday, maybe it was the day before, John, I don't remember which, but that's inconsequential, that I was heading out to Framingham again and was looking very much forward to spending the afternoon at the library, as I do when I go out to Framingham before my event in the evening. And John said, oh, well, if you're going to be out my way, do you want to grab lunch? Maybe like in Natick or something. I said, you know what, John? Thank you for the invitation. That sounds like a fine idea. So that was the origin of all this. This isn't some sort of clandestine, behind the scenes planning and making cabals within the show. This was just John inviting me out to lunch, which I thought was a nice gesture. Do you want to grab lunch?
That
Maybe
is
like in Natick or something.
Okay,
I said,
I
you know what,
understand.
John? Thank you for the invitation. That sounds like a fine idea.
Fair enough.
So that was the origin of all this. This
I've
isn't
understood
some
it
sort of
5 minutes ago.
clandestine,
I've understood it 5 minutes ago.
Planning and making cabals.
Where is that
within the
coming
show.
from?
This was just
I don't know.
John
That's not him
inviting
talking
me out to
anymore.
lunch, which
All
I
right.
thought was a nice.
What the hell was that?
That was wild. That was
That was
coming
the
through
delay.
your. That was coming through your.
Do you have YouTube up?
No, I had Hardy's News Boss
No,
computer up.
Yeah, but does he have YouTube up?
That was really
That was
weird.
wild.
I thought someone was goofing on me.
Yeah, I thought you kept talking, and I'm like, I understand.
I had my back to him. I thought he wouldn't
Yeah,
shut
I was
up.
like, why won't you shut up? Like this isn't interesting anymore.
That was really weird.
Bizarre.
All right. Anyway, so that's out of the way. But the main bomb that was dropped in here when Chris Forsberg sat down, that this is the thing I overheard, was that Chris Forsberg has a favorite band. Now, do this first. Clear your minds and think of the amount of music that's been released. Let's just limit it to the last 40 years. All the genres and all the innovations and all the things that have happened, all the important bands, all the unimportant bands, all the candy pop, all the jazz and R&B and rap and heavy metal and hardcore music, all the innovations. And think of it, think if you wanted to listen to all the music in the last 40 years, like where to even start? You could spend the whole rest of your life trying to do it. Where does Chris start and end? Who's his favorite band?
Well, one of his favorite bands I found out was a little outfit known to the hipsters as BTE, Better Than Ezra.
Not number one, but high on the list.
You said top five.
Probably top five. So it would go Dave Matthews.
Oh my God!
I know. Everyone's going to be so raged right now. The Killers. I'm going in order of most concerts I've seen. So Dave.
Well, no, go. But if you had to listen to five bands right now, like that
See, that's a different thing.
that
So
bands that have meant the most to you.
Dave Matthews is number one. Killers is probably number
What
two.
about Dave Matthews matters to you? The inconsequentiality of his lyrics.
It's very hard to explain to non-DMB fans why.
Well, because he was there when the buried his hand, he thought it was a candy.
Is it because when you look out your window, you just see ants marching, just doing the same thing every day? Never have those lyrics. That never has that sentiment. It was Gary Newman's Cars didn't do enough.
Let me ask you something, Chris. If he has so much to say, why does he just repeat so much to say 5 times in the chorus and doesn't really say anything?
They're one of the few Grammy-winning songs.
Do you think John Mayer ripped off a little too much from Dave Matthews? All right.
He did sit in one night and played an amazing version of Number 41. It's tops on the
Chris, how old were you when you went to your first Dave Matthews Band concert?
I mean, this will probably bring this. This is why it's probably the number one is because I think I was 14 years old when. So 94, I went to the Horde Festival.
Yes,
at Great Woods. And
if I was your dad, I would have told you you're not setting foot in there.
Blues Traveler was on that bill.
Blues Traveler was on that.
Yeah, everyone bad.
Widespread Panic, I believe, was there.
Yes, it's terrible.
So,
Chris, look at me, please.
Yes.
It's okay to let that go now. Okay? And I get it. You were 14. It was probably one of the first big shows you went to.
But I think
a lot of the stuff that we liked when we were young, real quick, Hardy, we hang on to, and it gives us a lot of joy as we move through life. There are things that we can let go, and you can let go of the Dave Matthews.
No, because it's been at every stage. Dave Matthews is a genius. The band.
What is it with Better Than Ezra though? They have like, and I like them. They're nice guys,
so
but
as I told you, like Kevin Griffin, the lead singer, is like, not only do they have Desperately Wanting and Good and
Rosalia.
Does he look? Because he looks like a fraternity brother of John's.
He's better looking than that.
Oh no, he'd be like the stud in the crap fraternity.
Better Than Ezra, their catalog should be celebrated more than it is.
But for what reason?
Because it not only did the early stuff good, but good is and ironically the song title. But like Before These Robots, some of the newer stuff, like
Before These Robots, what was it? More of an organic life.
Talking about the 2005 album Before the Robots.
What kind of where does it hit home to you lyrically, Chris?
You know what? I don't know if it's so much the lyrics that I'm not.
And why would your favorite band talk to you through their lyrics?
It is more the music. The deaf kid doesn't worry about the lyrics too much. That's secondary.
See what he just did there?
Oh,
even
What show was it, Fred?
He's
watched,
deaf but loves music.
You've watched all the,
it's the lyrics he can't hear.
Hold on.
You can't hear
I know what it was. I know what it was. It wasn't a sitcom. It was Sesame Street. When Big Bird, because he's a big stupid bird, bought a stereo for one of the deaf people that showed up on Sesame Street, and they're like, "Nice going, Big Bird. She's deaf. She can't even make use of this hi-fi that you brought her." And she's like, "No, I can do it. I can put my hand on the speaker and feel the beat."
Music.
I'm very familiar with that.
Not quite. I do have some semblance of hearing, but no, like. Have you ever been to a Dave
you
Matthews
do?
show?
I didn't know we were having this conversation. I thought you were lip reading.
Right.
It was very important that you lip read.
There are some people who are deaf who need cochlear who can't. I'm just saying. There's different levels to this.
Oh, I will tell you.
Have you been to a Dave Matthews concert?
Yes.
And what? And I'm sure you did. You go in with the bad attitude?
No, I went to see Willie Nelson when he opened for Dave Matthews at Fenway Park. I stayed for 3 Dave Matthews songs. I said, "I think I got this," and I left.
You didn't give it a chance.
And I walked back from Fenway Park to the radio station in Brighton.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
It's 40 minutes. It's a 40-minute walk.
Yeah. I don't even think Dave Matthews Band is a bad band. Like they don't bother me. It's just and you're not the only person. We all know that Cali guy's got like 1 million Dave Matthews Band tattoos. It just seems like Dave Matthews Band, like I don't like hear it and go like, this is terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's like such an odd band to be your favorite band because they're just so nondescript. Like there's really nothing happening.
I feel like if you're on the outside and you just hear the radio songs, you might feel that way. But I think I don't know, maybe when you, and I hate to be the guy who's like, you got to get deep into the catalog. But no.
Okay, but fair enough. But really, Dave Matthews Band, you're not alone. There are people that really love that band. I mean, obviously they sell out huge festivals. But that is not the case with Better Than Ezra. And I am very familiar with Better Than Ezra, as I, know a lot of dumb people. And so, but Better Than Ezra is just such a random, random band.
I think there's a lot of, and this is when I realized I was getting old, is that maybe some of that is tied back to what 12 said, where it's nostalgia. It's my early
your formative
high school years. Yeah,
the
right.
music
like,
that you listen to between ages of 14 and 20 is going to mean more to you for the rest of your life than anything else.
That's a fact.
The interesting part to me with Better Than Ezra was like I didn't find myself like obsessing about their music when it was the 90s. It was more like 2005 that album comes out, and I was like, wow, like
Before the Robots.
And I said, did I not listen to enough of Better Than Ezra? And I kind of like circled back.
A crime we've all committed. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there was some repressed. I don't know.
All right.
I'm grasping at straws.
Well, they'll be on the cruise.
And I am so jealous of Hardy. This is the full circle.
Why don't you go on the cruise? You can get on it's on a Carnival ship. It's $2.
Yeah. Why don't you go on the cruise?
I mean, I'm thinking about it.
Ask him to hook you up.
I'm gonna check the Celtics schedule. See what
Use
it looks
promo
like.
code Hardy.
I mean,
I'll tell you what you're going to miss right now.
Do you want?
Well, he looks for that. Let me tell you a good deaf story. So my best friend in elementary school's parents were deaf, like full on deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And which was great for when they dropped us off. We were talking about this yesterday when they dropped me off at Pontiac to see Colors, and there was no way to call them to pick us up. But so we're in the. It used to be like when we slept over there, like we'd be making a lot of noise, and the parents would come down because they would feel the vibration. They're very in tune to vibrations. So we're in a car. It's my friend Craig Turnbull. It's in 6th grade. He does not know my friend Alex Cho, whose parents are deaf. So we're sitting in the car and we're swearing. And Craig goes, "Oh my God, like, how are you swearing?" So he's automatically, he's really in tune to what's going on because he didn't realize that the kid's parents are deaf. So the dad's driving and we're in the back of the car. And so he goes, "We can swear." And we're like, "Yeah." And so he swears. And he goes, "Hee." And he goes, swears. And then he starts going, F you, and giving the middle finger. And to that, even though he was deaf, he somehow realized the middle finger was being held up. And Craig was so intelligent that he thought that perhaps blindness while he was driving the car also was a factor.
Do the parents yell in that moment? Were they?
Oh, yeah. They yelled because, there's no, it's not like words, but it's like, like
the noise and loud.
And it's loud because they're not aware of how loud it is. So it's like, he was pissed. He was pissed.
You will miss 2 games.
Okay, who are they against?
Portland.
Ooh, Rob Williams.
And Atlanta.
Rob Williams ain't playing in that game.
You're asking me to choose between my favorite things.
Portland and Atlanta. You'll be home.
And,
you'll be home in time
too, man. All my favorites.
But if you're on the boat and Hardy's doing it, you could meet better than Ezra and hang out with him.
Or better than Ezra could meet me.
What if they're Celtic fans?
Who knows?
Yeah, or just big NBA fans.
The new keyboardist in Dave Matthews Band, Buddy Strong, is a Celtic fan.
Yeah, we're familiar. He calls in all the time.
Why'd you do that?
I'm just saying.
Why'd you bring that up?
No, I'm always hopeful that my job will help lead me to my childhood heroes.
Here's your opportunity.
Matt has a theory. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really think Chris likes the Dave Matthews music. I think he's just a fan of that bus driver that dumped that load of poop on the bus, the boat in Chicago.
Yeah. What did you think about that, huh?
It was a poopy situation. Yeah, not a great look for the band, but it's sad to us super fans that has become a defining moment in the Dave Matthews history.
Defining moment.
All right. Well, look, Chris likes many, many, many bad things.
The Killers, are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay.
I like it the best at the BC games.
Yeah.
That I like the best. And that BC's not the only school that does it. It's like every college does it too.
Oh.
Well, I didn't know that the first time I saw it at BC. I thought BC was the only school that did it, so I gave him some credit.
You know the weird thing about the Killers, they are a Vegas band. I mean, they're not like a totally manufactured outfit. Like Brandon Flowers, he was like a Vegas kid. And they were allegedly playing and doing shows locally when I was there and going to all of the local shows.
Yes.
All of our friends were in the scene, and that's where we get, and hopefully they would get opening slots when bigger bands would come in. Never once did I see them or know anything about them.
Did you ever go over to Sam's Town?
Did they play at Sam's Town a lot?
Their second album is Sam's Town, and it's an ode to the stretch of Vegas that they.
You know what?
populated.
I may have seen them then and just didn't realize it.
I
did go to Sam's Town.
Anytime you brought up Vegas to them, they got all pissy and like, that's all you're going to talk about. I don't know. What would you like me to talk about? You're so interesting. You give me a bunch of things to talk about, dumbass. Like, where you're from? What do you want me to do? Like, dig into the lyrics?
I'm gonna make a list next week and give you guys top 10 Forsberg bands.
Well, we already know 2.
I mean, you're 3 right now.
Yeah.
What if I threw Howie Day on there? Do you remember Howie Day, Collide?
Nope.
I liked it when he put the surgical glove on his head. All right. Look, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
When I say Blue Chew, what do you think of?
98.5.
Here from NBC Sports Boston, of course, to talk about the Celtics.
What?
I know. I'm sorry.
This segment always bothers me.
I understand.
Well, you're here for 2 segments, so we can talk about you for one. All right. So, Joe Mazzulla was pissy after the game. He talked about the 2-on-1 stuff. He was.
That was a long time ago. He wasn't pissy the other night.
Oh, he wasn't pissy the other night. I thought it was from the other night. I apologize. It's my own ignorance. All right. So, okay, is this finally an indictment on Peyton Pritchard?
You're grasping. But no, it's a fair question, right?
No, I am being serious. I don't dislike Peyton Pritchard. I just don't, and I've heard Scalabrine talk about it. He's just not, I don't think, physically gifted enough to be a top player on an NBA team. I don't think that's a ridiculous take.
No.
I know people here really like him because he's a little white guy, but I mean, I don't know what to tell you. He's not John Stockton. So, what do you like? Where are we talent-wise? Sure. What are you seeing now that this is all coming to fruition? Is there anything Mazzulla can do? Any kind of scheming that can make up for the lack of talent?
So let's take it one by one there, right? Like okay. I think Peyton's been really good outside of the 3-point shooting, which is jarring, right? Like I think he's last in the NBA in 3-point percentage for the qualifiers, which if you had told me that coming into the year, I would have thought was impossible. And like Derek White is not far behind him. So they've got to be better. That will shore up a lot of what ails this team if you start making shots. But like the bigger issue I think with the team right now is they're giving up a ton of size, and we all knew the story coming in that with no Porzingis and no Cornette and no Al Horford, that rebounding was going to get more difficult. And so it's bared itself out. Me and John were talking out in the hallway. I don't know if there is anyone on this roster that solves that issue, except that they've just got to be more focused and the fundamentals, and that's boring to say. But, the other night when Neemias Queta misses a free throw and then gives up that rebound to Nurkic, like you got to be more locked in. You got to be focused. It was a little surprising that in that moment they weren't completely locked in.
I found it fascinating that during the preseason, all Mazzulla wanted to do was run. He wanted to get out, score as many points as he can, and obviously that was to compensate for his lack of size. But in order to run, you have to rebound, and they don't have the size to do that. So how do you solve that problem?
It's quite the conundrum, right? I don't know. I think what we've seen is that when Minot has been in there with Queta, you get a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more defensive rebounding presence, and the numbers have been better in that instance. Now, Minot got in foul trouble the other night, and it's no coincidence that they kind of lost their way. It's not all on him. Everybody has to be better. Jalen had a great game, but one of the few lacking categories was rebounding, and I think it just comes down to you got to want it, and it's so. I know people hate when we boil it down to you got to be a little bit more locked in, a little bit more they've had good rebounding games, or maybe good rebounding quarters. I should temper that a little.
They got out rebounded 46-22 in the last 3
They have not had
quarters
good rebounding games. But yeah, short. And I've said it too. It might be a personnel thing where you just need another big who can vacuum up rebounds, and we knew this could be an issue. I think they're giving Queta and Garza and Boucher all an opportunity to show they can help solve this issue. I wonder if there's a point where if you are in the mix, or whatever you're trying to do this season, and you have to think about that position. But some of it's not all on the bigs. Everybody has to be better on the glass.
All right, we got an email here from Jim. It said, "Glad you're having Forsberg on. Please ask him this question. Last night with Trenny, you said that when the Celtics were shooting 20% from 3 against Utah, Mazzulla probably told them during a timeout to take it inside. All caps. What evidence do you have that Mazzulla has ever said that?"
So I'm not over there as much, but we do have people that listen in on the huddles, and I can tell you that I'm sure that in instances where the 3-point shot is not falling, he is at least telling them to work harder and get into the paint and create opportunities by cracking that defense. Yes, his philosophy often boils down to creating the 2-on-1, and if the 3-point shot is the best in that instance, that's the shot you should take. If you go back and watch it, they had a lot of good looks. The one thing I always tell people is they're not going to change. Like, this is how the roster was built to maximize the 3-point shot. It helped win them a title. Do they when
you don't have the same shooters here anymore?
I mean, they got a lot of the same guys that were shooting those threes.
Is it because White in particular is struggling?
Yeah. Again, I think if White and Pritchard were shooting anywhere close to even league average, this would look a lot different.
Wait a minute.
Without Tatum and without Porzingis,
Holiday, Horford, Porzingis,
Horford.
I mean, those are three massive guys that they replaced with guys that can't shoot.
Were they their lead 3-point shooters?
No, but they weren't. But obviously, the struggle.
Who the biggest absence is? Like, Jason Tatum isn't out there. Like, the gravity that he creates. Like, I get it, but
Luka Garza is taking threes from the top of the arc. There's a reason why he's open.
Well, he can't run down into the paint. So
that's a good point. He's exhausted by the time he gets there. No, but
I don't know if he's exhausted. It looks like he should be.
It's not safe
for anybody.
But people keep saying, like, they need to get in and go to the basket. And I say, well, what shot is better for Sam Hauser? To spot up and get to a good, clean, open 3-point look, or to, like, go throw himself in the post and try to dribble through two defenders? Like, let's just be realistic about what the best shot is for some of these guys. And certainly there are times when I wish more players were like Jalen and would get into the paint and try to get to the free throw line. And I think Peyton's done a good job of that. I think Derek White can do it more. Certainly you can't just rely on one shot, but to think that they're going to like overhaul the entire offense when it's been built to do this is a little preposterous to me.
Okay, so I heard Christopher Gasper say something interesting, and I do think it's interesting because it kind of rings true. So, Jaylen Brown, a lot of talk of this is his opportunity to become a star, and that he as this team goes, so does Jaylen Brown's ability as a huge superstar player in this league. And Gasper's point was, well, he's playing without Tatum, and that's a big part of it. In that, when Tatum has all his success, Brown is there. And so you're judging him on a scale. Not only are they missing Horford, Porzingis, and these other guys, but in Holiday, but they're missing Tatum. So is it fair to is Tatum and Tatum's better than Brown, but is Tatum like this much better than Brown? Like, if the team didn't have Brown and Tatum was in, would there still be like a big difference because Tatum wasn't playing off of Brown?
It's an impossible question to answer, right? Like, could you have a full season where one is only available and the other isn't, with the same roster and same? It in a vacuum, it is tough.
Like, if Tatum was on this team,
and Brown
would the
was
team
missing,
have like a dramatic? Would there be dramatically? And Brown wasn't. Would this team be dramatically different?
I think we understand so much of what Tatum brings to this team has been exemplified and accentuated in even just the 8 games so far, right? Like the way he rebounds, the way that the defense committing to him opens everybody else up, his playmaking, his defense. It's sort of a reminder. It's weird to say that Jason Tatum is going to miss a good portion of this season, and he will come back, and people will probably respect more what he does, and he'll probably be back into more into the MVP conversation if the Celtics kick it back up to a championship level. But yeah, I don't know if we can fully judge. We'll make overreactions to what Jalen does this year, but yeah, I don't know. It's a fair point about how do we balance it? You can't just, for me, I guess you just can't be on wins and losses because the team is just so different. I think Jalen's been great. To start the year, I think he's done everything. He doesn't do everything that Tatum does, and vice versa. Like Tatum, there are things that Jalen does that would be really missed if he didn't have Jalen out there with him.
All right. Well, I still think that the 3-point.
What would you do, Artie? Give me. All right. I know we're not basketball coaches, but what would you do?
I would probably take less 3-pointers on a night when you're shooting 11 of 52.
But what does that look like? Are you settling for long mid-range and now you're just clanging those? Are you trying to post up
Well, we'll never know. We'll never know if they're going to clang
Don't you
clang
think
the 14
Don't you think they
footers.
try this stuff in practice and they're like, hey, let's try
I don't
some
know that they
post-ups.
do. I really don't know that they do. I think they spend more time shooting threes and working on rebounding than anything else.
I guess I guess the answer to that would be: is this a Missoula? Like this is his philosophy, and players and who he has be damned. This is the way that he feels. This is the thing. Is it a philosophy? Does Missoula adapt to the players on his roster, or is his feeling that this is the way that you play basketball in the modern NBA, and this is how it works?
It's fair, and I think he's explained his philosophy is it's not necessarily that he loves the three-point shot. It's that when you create your advantages, and that is often the shot that is open, and it plays into the strength of the way this roster has been built. Certainly, there could be some tweaks this season based on the fact that maybe they're not as talented, but when you're talking about Peyton, Derek, even Jalen but beyond the other night, the three-point shot has been good. Like one of their strengths is that shot. So I understand like why it's so prevalent. Again, I'm not arguing that the other night when you miss 40 of them that you shouldn't be diversifying in some way. And I would love to see this team more often be able to get into the paint and create advantages that way. But to think that they're going to turn into this like 2-point machine when you don't have a 7-footer around the basket, when you don't have post-up options the way you did in the past, it's just a little. They're doing what I think they're trying to maximize the skill that they have.
Okay, just based on who they play, and look, Utah very well could be trading their best player this year. So like Utah's not a good team, but they're big. Houston is a good team, and they're very big. Do you see a little bit of like a regressing to the mean with like in terms of the league is so 3-point crazy? And certainly when they played Cleveland, that's all anyone did. It was Cleveland as well, and Cleveland's not small. Do you see any possibility of it getting like a little less, just in general, 3-point crazy?
It's all cyclical, right? Like then whenever the next Shaq comes around, it'll go back to being back to the basket, high percentage. Like what are the most valuable shots in basketball? It's the 3-pointer and a layup.
Right.
You can consistently get a layup, but the counter argument to that is like you got guys like Wemby who do both now. So like. I don't know. Like I don't ever think we're going back to.
No, big men got to be able to
basketball.
handle the ball and shoot threes. I'm just wondering. No, it's not going to go back to the 80s. I'm just talking about like where a game like Cleveland, the Cleveland game this year, where it's just like every shot was a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Like in other words, Chris, could we go back to before the robots?
No. Yeah.
To bring it full circle.
Well done.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going back. I think the 3-point shot is going to leave its imprint forever.
Well, I don't like that. I didn't like that Cleveland game. I got to tell you that.
Just because of the volume,
I just felt like I was watching a 3-point contest. Like that game in particular, it was just like the athleticism wasn't on display. There wasn't. I'm sure there's a million things I miss, and
no.
Backdoor cuts and movement and defense.
If you watch the Celtics in the middle 2 quarters of their last game, you saw nothing but walk up threes. They didn't try to get the ball inside.
The other thing that I think people need to pay attention to, and I'm not breaking any news here, is like when they miss threes, there has been a propensity for the defensive effort to lack on the other side, and whether that's getting burnt by the other team taking a live rebound and pushing it up the court and getting easy baskets in transition, or just like losing their focus because they're hanging their head. They've got to be better at that. You can miss 43 pointers and no one would have like really been up in arms about it if they found a way to win that game. We still would have brought it up. It still would have been like an egregious amount of misses. But the fact that it then impacted their defensive play in the second half, where they went from one of the best defensive first halves to just absolutely being vacant there in the second, is what's frustrating. And it's not like anything new. This is like, even with the different look roster, this is something that has been going on. So certainly they've got to figure out why that happens.
All right, Chris. Thank you. Chris Forsberg, NBC Sports Boston. I hope that
Can I go listen to my Better Than Ezra in peace?
Well, I mean, is there ever peace when Better and Ezra are really clanging it up and challenging the man? All right, thank you, Mr. Forsberg. We'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline. Get the app. Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Listen at the end of this segment for a chance to win a pair of tickets to Comics Come Home at the TD Garden. I got my tickets, Adam, so we're good.
Oh, you're all set?
Yeah.
Good. I was going to follow up on that today. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you to Dawn for getting me those tickets.
Dawn's the best.
Very exciting. And what also was exciting was Hardy's conversation with Chris Forsberg about golf. And all it sounded to me was like golf.
You golf. I'm going to golf. When did you golf again? When are you going to golf again?
And then explicit details about rounds.
Oh.
It really makes me feel like I'm missing out, that I should devote myself more to the game.
Just devote yourself to something. Some type of pursuit.
That I don't disagree.
Some type of pursuit other than the napping and whatever it is. Whatever
I'm like a
else
modern
you
day
do.
Beetle Bailey. You know, I'm always napping and, it's just wasting my time. Just sitting at home, staring at the walls. We are going to talk to Gary Myers. Obviously, the Jets were the big. We got Gary Myers just to talk about the NFL in general, but the Jets so happened to be the big team yesterday. The Patriots did nothing, much to the consternation of John, who feels like they should have gone a little bit more all in this year, given where they sit, what the schedule looks like next year, where the AFC stands this year. All of these things are valid arguments, but nonetheless, we will talk to Gary Myers about that. If you don't know what we're talking about, the Patriots stood pat. They felt, I guess, and you wanted them to get a receiver.
I wanted them. It could have been a receiver, but I wanted them to kind of beef up the depth. And I wanted an offensive lineman. I thought a receiver would have been good. And the reason I picked out Rashid Shaheed is because the price that was spent to trade for him. New Orleans parted with him for a 4th and a 5th round pick. And if New Orleans had gotten a 3 or a 2 for him, I would have said, well, that's a little bit much for a rental. But Shaheed does have speed. He can certainly impact the game well for you, and you could give your quarterback, who you're relying on to kind of carry you forward, some help.
But the question would be, who would he play instead of?
I have no trouble. You brought up Pop Douglas. Pop Douglas, very nice story, came off a big game. I would have no trouble sitting him.
But you think that giving up assets to temporarily replace Pop Douglas is worth it?
Yes, I do.
All right. Very good.
Yes, I do. And we brought up a trade that the Chargers made for a tackle who was a starter for New Orleans, but would be a backup here. And it was only a 6th round draft pick. Patriots have more 6th round draft picks than any 4 teams in the NFL. Just send one to New Orleans, or if you have to send them a 5th, send them a 5th. Get some depth at tackle to help you out in case. And in all likelihood, Morgan Moses is going to get hurt before the end of the season. There you have a guy, a starting caliber tackle to take his place. I thought they should have done more, or anything for that matter.
Gordon, go ahead.
Hey, Touch. Good morning. I love you. I just want to say, may the Lord bless anybody who's listening to me right now in every way, first of all. Second of all, Gervonta Davis is a duck. He just ducked Jake Paul for no reason. Just wanted to say that. And third of all, I sent you like a video a long time ago. It's the I Love the Touch Morning Show. Remember that video?
No.
That song?
No, I don't remember that.
Could you sing it again? Could you sing it again, please?
It was a Kiss cover. I Love the Touch Morning Show.
I did not. Like I apologize. I get
I make
emails.
songs. I make songs. I'm a boxer. I got a song, Leo from Rockland, on YouTube. You can check it out. You can play it if you want. Other than that, hope you guys have a great day. Love the Sports Hub. Love all you guys.
All right, Gordon. Thank you.
Just real quick, Jake Paul was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis, who's very good.
Thank you for clearing that.
But he not ducking Jake Paul. He was arrested on domestic violence allegations.
Well, that was all just
canceled the fight.
Well, listen, that's the price you have to pay if you duck Jake Paul. You got to, get yourself in prison. That's happened before. You're not safe on the streets. You go into prison, get in protective custody.
So scared.
Yeah.
Worried.
Listen, he knew that he was in a bad situation. He had to get out of it somehow, so he did the whole domestic dispute thing.
That's what I would have done.
Well, would you have?
In prison. Get myself arrested.
Would you have? I see. Very good. All right. Well, it is interesting. The thing that Bedard said about like hanging on to 6th-round picks. If I heard it correctly, which we played, I just can't imagine that they were like, we have to hang on to 4 6th-round picks. I just don't think that's the case. There's some reason they didn't do anything, but it's not to hang on to 6th-round picks.
They didn't want to part with the draft picks, and there was something else that Phil Perry said that it could be another explanation for it. 12. Thank you.
I do wonder how much of this is let's save because we have a $65, $70 million a year contract coming down the pike.
Oh, that's the whole thing. All right.
Because they're going to have to pay May eventually that they don't want to do what?
That makes no sense at all.
Take on an expiring deal for this season?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
On the contrary, when May makes $70 million, it's going to limit your ability to acquire things and keep players. So strike while the iron's hot now when you have him on his rookie contract.
Well, also, if I may interject, what player are you getting for a 6th-round pick that would be salary cap prohibitive?
Right.
And also, what is it? Four 6th-round picks going to be rotational players on this team? That I think that would be almost unprecedented good luck in a draft to take 4 guys in the 6th round that are all contributors to the team.
The guys who are making the decisions, and I'm sure you're going to say, put the Crafts in there. But, Vrabel, Cowden, Stryker, these guys, they came in with a plan. Like, you can't build a sustainable winner until you turn the tide. You have to completely flip that. And how do you do that? You keep your draft picks. You get a lot of draft picks.
Yeah, but I don't know why you would pick
4 6-rounders.
Yeah, you pick your day 1 and 2 picks, and Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Just a few things. I wanted to call earlier, but I'm a bus driver. I had some kids on the bus. I couldn't call. First, Hardy, we're not playing with house money. We're playing with the 2026, 2027, and forward Patriots money, which we cannot afford in terms of draft capital, obviously, not cash spending. Second, Wallach. Trevor Penning, the O-lineman that the Chargers just got, sucks balls, dude. He is terrible. Saints fans everywhere are very excited that he is not on their team anymore. And third, Rashid Shaheed. Sure, he would have been nice, but there is no guarantee he even comes in and can pick up the playbook and contribute. And now you've unsettled everyone else on the depth chart for no reason. Vrabel, Cowden, Stryker, they're all clearly trying to build something to move forward. It doesn't make sense. This team is
It does make sense,
7-2.
but this is like a fundamental difference. And you're thinking about 2027 and not wanting to spend money that you could have for then. I'm saying you've got a 7-2 football team right now. If you can spend a little bit of money to make this team even a little bit better, and yes, even at the risk of upsetting some guys who feel like they've deserved it, that's part of football. And if
the
you
message
can get,
is you're trying to win.
The culture is, though, really, if you think about it, the only viable reason at all that they wouldn't have done anything. That's it. I mean, that has to be it, right? It's not protecting 6th-round picks.
Well, you've got empathy on swole these days. You are thinking about those guys' feelings down the depth.
I'm not. I'm saying they must be. It's not protecting 4 6th-round picks. You agree that's not it?
I agree that's not it.
Thank you.
But
so there's got to be a reason, and so it's got to be something to do with the culture, in my opinion.
I can think about next year. It's just when you start talking about money to spend in 2027, that's when I just start to tune it out.
It's a lot of fun, though, because you could be a Jet fan and have this every 4 years go through this.
They're 7-2 right now.
Caller number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985. Will score a pair of tickets to Comics Come Home on Saturday, November 8th at the Garden, featuring Dennis Leary, Lenny Clark, Sarah Silverman, and more. all to benefit the Cam Neely Foundation. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Gary Meyer is going to join us.
Stay tuned for more.
win. The Bruins landed 4 straight wins now. They beat the Islanders 4-3 last night. They're back home to play Ottawa tomorrow evening. The NFL trade deadline came and went. Patriots did not make a move. They did sign free agent wide receiver Brendan Rice to the practice squad. He is the son of Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. Handful of trades yesterday. The 2 biggest ones pulled off by the Jets. Sauce Gardner sent to Indianapolis for 2 first-round draft picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell. And defensive lineman Quinnen Williams was traded to Dallas for first- and second-round selections and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. Celtics had last night off. They play the Washington Wizards at TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Trevor Story has opted into the final 2 years of his Red Sox contract. Sox also signed Jaron Duran to a 1-year, $7.7 million deal, avoiding salary arbitration and declined the option on the contract of reliever Liam Hendricks. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They're teaming with Charlie McAvoy for 73 reasons to provide funding and health screens for first responders. Learn more at servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Boston Talk Sports.
Trade Drake May. We all know what, but we won't say what. Yeah, worst take on these airwaves in the last 24 hours.
We may not take a call today.
The Sports. Toucher and Hardy.
Individuals who seek acceptance, respite, and care.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
I mean, it's a really good player coming aboard, and it was a huge need for them. Like, they're basically turning, over the next few weeks, a weakness of theirs, which was, like, the one position they were looking at before the trade deadline, into a massive strength. Because not only are they getting Sauce Gardner, they're getting Travaris Ward back from injury. So I do think the Colts one does affect the race.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us live on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Gary Myers is a sports legend. His new book, Brady versus Belichick, The Dynasty Debate, is out now. Everyone has a copy. We've been very fortunate to get those. We've had Gary on to talk about that book before. But he is truly a legend. He's based in New York, which just happens to be good because the Jets went nuts yesterday. Gary, hello.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
We're doing great. Thank you so much. Let's compare the Patriots and the Colts. So the Colts are unexpectedly, a little bit less unexpectedly, but unexpectedly nonetheless, a 7-2 team. They mortgage their future a little bit, certainly. And first of all, you believe that by trading for Sauce Gardner and giving up those picks, Daniel Jones is now their quarterback, correct?
Oh, yeah. I would think that Daniel Jones is going to be their quarterback, regardless of what they did yesterday. His deal is up after this season, but, I can't imagine they're going to want to move on from him. And unless he continues to play, unless he stacks together games like he did against Pittsburgh, where he had 3 interceptions, lost a couple fumbles, it really brought back memories to, how he played with the Giants. But, every quarterback is entitled to a game like that.
If I'm a Colts fan, I'm just a little nervous. I'm just a little nervous that, oh, wow, now we're really doing this. Not this season, but just like for the next couple seasons where Daniel Jones is our guy. But, okay, so they went all in. We just had Burt Breer. That was Burt Breer saying that, they took a weakness and made it into a strength. The Patriots did nothing. Do you think both of those teams are similar? They have similar records. And how do you – which way of doing business do you like better? The way the Patriots stood pat or the way that the Colts gave up 2 first-round picks?
Well, I have to tell you this, that I do think that Sauce Gardner is one of the more overrated players in the NFL.
Yes.
He does not get interceptions, and he doesn't tackle. Now,
I'm aware.
He does not get a lot of opportunities because the Jets are, been weak on the other side, so the quarterbacks have been staying away from him for the most part. But when they try to exploit him, they have some success. Listen, he's got a great nickname, and he had a tremendous rookie year a few years ago, but he hasn't played close to that level the last couple of years. And I don't think you're finding a lot of Jet fans that are crying about losing Sauce Gardner, to tell you the truth. They got really good value for him. A couple of years ago, they traded Jamal Adams to the Seahawks and got 2 number 1 picks, and this is very similar. But overall, I think Jet fans are just going, "Oh, here we go again."
I'm a Jet fan, and I am saying here we go again, but I can't complain about – I agree with you with Sauce Gardner, and I can't complain about the return. And I think the return they got from Quinnen Williams is ridiculous. That I don't know what they're doing in Dallas, but I thought that was like a haul that they couldn't turn down. So
yeah, I think that's the way they felt. The Jets – basically held a dispersal draft yesterday, and they're now an expansion team. Lots of draft picks, a very weak roster. The Patriots are very fortunate they haven't played them yet because you can chalk those up as 2 victories. So the Patriots will at least get to 9. I happen to think Quinnen Williams is a really good player, and I host a radio show in New York now on Saturdays, and I had Jerry Jones on the second week of the season. And when I asked him whether either of the New York teams had inquired about Micah Parsons, he volunteered to me. Obviously, he wasn't going to trade him to the Giants in the division, but he volunteered to me that he had spoken to the Jets and he asked for Quinnen Williams and a number 1 pick for Micah Parsons. Well, 2 months later, he gives up a 1 and a 2 and gets Quinnen Williams. So I knew that the Cowboys, really liked Quinnen Williams, and I think it was considering how weak the Dallas defense is, and they didn't give up number 1 in this coming draft, so they still have 2 number 1s, and who knows what's going to be in 2027. Maybe the picks, they're going to give up the better of their pick and Green Bay's pick, but who knows? They both could be in the 20s. So I thought, considering Williams is signed for a couple more years, I thought that was a good trade for the Cowboys because they are so weak defensively. And Quinnen Williams is better than any player they can potentially have gotten, I think, defensively in the second round of the coming draft, which is the pick they gave up.
Right, but it's just that Quinnen Williams doesn't improve that defense enough to make them a playoff team this year, and then he's another year older, and it just seems like a lot to give up. If you're the Jets, certainly Quinnen Williams was never going to play for a good Jet team, and I guess he wanted to be traded too, and he wanted to be traded to Dallas.
I think I think he was pretty unhappy here. He's never played on a winning team.
Right. It just seemed like the age of the player. You had just not signed Micah Parsons, who's obviously a much better defensive player than Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams, I think, is a really good player too. But it just at his age and where the Cowboys are, it seemed like a lot to me. That's all.
Well, it's Fred, it's not like he's 32. I think he's 27 or 28.
Right.
And I disagree with you a little bit on this. I think Dallas just has to keep stacking and find defensive players however they can. And I'm not necessarily counting them out of, making a playoff run here. They're all, I mean, it was an aberration what happened to their offense the other night against Arizona. I didn't understand that. But, if they can hold teams under 25 points, they got a chance to win a lot of games because their offense, is really explosive. And Williams will help. They can't stop the run. Now they have him and Kenny Clark playing next to each other. I mean, that's not bad. The problem in Dallas is their secondary is horrendous. And if they can improve the pass rush a little bit, maybe that helps the secondary. But it is very bizarre what's happened with the Cowboys the last couple months. Clearly, there was a larger issue with Micah Parsons. I think it became a personality thing with him and Jerry Jones. Jerry didn't want to pay him. Now, Parsons wound up getting twice as much as Quinnen Williams got when he signed his contract a couple of years ago. So the money issue, definitely factored in there as well.
It is kind of refreshing, though, to hear Jerry Jones talk about it, and you say all these things been going on in Dallas the last couple of months. He said yesterday, he's like, look, for me personally, I don't have a lot of time. So if you're asking me, what I'm doing this for, it's because I need to win. Essentially saying he knows that he's not going to be around physically that much longer, and if there's a chance for a deal to be made, he wants to do it because he wants the team to win.
Yeah, along those lines, and I've said this before, I might have said it on your show, that's why I really thought he was going to hire Bill Belichick, because they both, and this a couple of years ago, I thought that he should have fired McCarthy after Kraft fired Belichick and brought Belichick to Dallas, because Jerry, despite the fact that everybody thinks he's just in it to make money, and he's making a ton of money, I know him really well. I've known him since the day he bought the team in 1989, and he's extremely competitive. he really does want to win. He just doesn't know how to win without Jimmy Johnson. And I thought that he and Belichick would have been a good short-term match because they're at the same point in their lives. Belichick's about 10 years younger. Well, he would do anything to win, and he desperately wanted another job in the NFL. He didn't want to go to North Carolina, and I thought they would have been a good match. But, I didn't see that quote that you just mentioned about Jerry saying, referencing his age, but, he's in his early 80s, and, I hope he lives for another 20 years. I mean, I really do like Jerry a lot, but, the reality is that he's probably feeling a sense of urgency to win now. And like I said, they're 3-5-1. They can easily get on a run and make the playoffs. Now, I can't say easily. They have to jump over a bunch of teams, but I can see them getting on a run and making the playoffs.
All right, but back to I want to compare since I wanted the Jets were the big team yesterday, and I'm a Jets fan, and everyone's going to accuse me of talking about the Jets too much, and I'm very glad you're on and you have that insight. And I was aware that Jerry Jones had mentioned Williams to you, and it seemed like a pipe dream at the time. So,
right.
what are you going to do? But you see a team with the Colts that are going all in on this season, and then you see the Patriots who haven't done anything. In your opinion, should the Patriots have done something at all or something more bold, given where they are and where the AFC is this year?
Well, they did sign Jerry Rice's kid yesterday.
Yeah, we don't want to overlook that.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Look at. I heard that Franco Harris's kid is out there as well, and we could do that.
Yeah, I think the Patriots, and you guys know better than me probably. I'm sure that they needed a pass rusher. I mean, that would, if Trey Hendrickson was available, and all indications are, even though he never came to a long-term agreement with the Bengals, and he's going to be a free agent after this year, he would have been a good, 8-game rental. But it didn't appear that the Bengals wanted to trade him. Myles Garrett, if he was available and they could have given up 2 ones for him, I would have done that if I was the Patriots. But Cleveland made it pretty clear they weren't going to trade him. I mean, who did you want them to get? I think in a way, when you're 7-2 and you don't make a move at the deadline, it's sending a message to the locker room that we're happy with what we have and we think we can do some business with the team that's currently constructed. So in a way, that can work to the team's confidence. And just, for making a comparison with the Jets, it just shows, I mean, the Patriots are down for 5 years in the post-Brady years, but it just shows what happens when you get a quarterback. And that's what all these trades were about for the Jets. Yes, they stockpiling picks to put themselves in a position to get a quarterback either this year or in 2027, which could be a better quarterback draft. It's all about getting a quarterback. And the Patriots got their quarterback, and everything else falls into place after you do that. And, riding out what they have in that locker room when they've started the season 7-2 and have a chance to win the division and maybe get a first-round bye, unless there was a really impactful player out there who was available that they passed on, I can't really blame them for standing pat yesterday.
And it's
unless you can tell me a name that is available that they said no, the price was too high.
And to your point about not having a quarterback, the Jets had 3 first-round picks that they arguably hit on all of them a few years ago. With they got Gardner and they got Garrett and they got
Johnson,
Garrett Wilson, and they got Jermaine Johnson. And so what did that do?
Breece Hall in the second round.
And Breece Hall at the beginning of the second round. So does Breece Hall want out of New York? Now that I have you on the phone, does he want out, or do you think that he's in their long-term plans?
Well, I think this was a prove-it year for him. Unlike Wilson and Gardner, who got the extensions in July, they didn't offer an extension to Breece Hall, and they want he'd been banged up for a couple of years, but now he's one of their 2 or 3 best players that are left on the roster. I mean, it's possible they can franchise him after the year or look to sign him to a long-term deal. He's having a good season. I mean, he's a really good player. I can't. He has not expressed that he's wanted out.
Okay, because I've been hearing mixed things about that. That people are thinking thinking that he was implying that he was unhappy. But I read it as his tweets were I'm pissed that these guys got traded. I'm not happy about that. more just as a human than like anything else. But whatever.
Yeah, Gardner and Wilson, I thought they sent a strong message when they signed these deals in July, because they could have tried to force their way out, even though one of them would have got franchised at some point. But they signed. Now they took the money, obviously, but they could have forced their way out if they really wanted to. So I thought that was a sign. Okay, the Jets are going to make sure they keep their best young players, and 3 months later, they trade Gardner. It really is reminiscent to me. In July of 2018, the Giants signed Odell Beckham to a 5-year, $95 million extension, and the following March he was traded to the Browns. And and it was 2 weeks after Dave Gettleman had said, we didn't sign Odell to trade him, and then he traded him. Well, this took even less time, from July to November, between signing Sauce to a $120 million extension to trading him for 2 first-round picks. I mean, it's just astounding that the Jets have now completely torn this team apart by getting rid of their 2 best defensive players and stockpiling draft picks for a general manager who was completely inexperienced before this draft. He's a first-time general manager, first-time head coach in Aaron Glenn. And basically they're saying they trust these guys. It's one thing to stockpile the picks. It's another thing to have Jimmy Johnson making the picks after that Herschel Walker trade. It's another thing to have Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn making the picks, and you have no idea whether they can pick the right players, if they can identify the right quarterback. I mean, this is putting complete faith in 2 totally unproven guys to make these picks that are going to shape the future of the franchise. And that's what's happened. The Jets got a huge haul yesterday. I mean, they picked up 3 1s and a 2. But I think what makes the Jet fans nervous is, okay, what are they going to do with these picks?
But why, with the success of Idzik and McCagnon, why would they feel this way? I mean, it's there's no precedent. No, it's the same thing every 4 years. It's the same thing.
I do want to tell you one thing. I think where the Jets made a horrendous decision was in 2021. This is not a second guess because I said it beforehand. And it's been proven out. Zach Wilson was not good enough to trade Sam Darnold, who had only been in the league for 3 years. They should have taken that pick and traded it like the Dolphins did with the pick that was like right after, I believe. They traded down a couple of times and wound up with Jalen Waddle and Bradley Chubb out of that. The Jets should have held on to Darnold, who obviously has proven to be a vastly superior player to Zach Wilson. And instead of using that pick on Zach Wilson, they should have traded up. If they had a general manager who had a little foresight there, they just would have, traded that pick around and gotten a haul then. And it was Joe Douglas who did that, who, proved to be, they loved Joe Douglas when they hired him and they couldn't wait to fire him. That's what I thought started the downfall and started to spiral. They didn't give Darnold enough time. They didn't put a team around him. They wound up drafting Zach Wilson. He was terrible. They had to bring in Aaron Rodgers. He tears his Achilles on his 4th play as a Jet, and here we go again, a new regime now, dumping all these players. They could have possibly traded Breece Hall and Jermaine Johnson and Quincy Williams yesterday. They just didn't get the offers they wanted. I mean, it could have been even more of a fire sale. And the fact now they're not calling it a teardown is an insult.
Oh, it's a teardown. It's a teardown. It's a teardown to get a quarterback. And you're right. Everyone in the media that I recall, or not everyone maybe, but you weren't alone. A lot of people liked Sam Darnold very much and just thought he didn't get a fair shot. He had Adam Gase as his coach. I mean, that's not ideal for him. So yeah, I think that you had a lot of foresight there. And but I think that you were not alone in thinking that Darnold deserved better than he got in New York.
Listen, if they had wound up with the first pick in that draft, which was Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah.
Then I can potentially understand it, although Trevor hasn't, lived up to expectations.
But at the time, he seemed like generational, right?
Exactly. Zach Wilson. I mean, enough said about Zach Wilson. I mean, we see what he's become, and to think if you watch Sam the other night against Washington, he looked like the best quarterback in the league for the first. I mean, he played well the whole game, but he was unbelievable in the first half. And I'm going, I can't believe this is the same guy that played for the Jets, but he didn't have the coaching. I mean, he had Todd Bowles his rookie year. And then he had Adam Gase for a couple of years, and Adam Gase has proven, he's just a horrible head coach, and
He's a horrible coach. Just overall, just a horrible coach.
And I'll tell you what. I don't know if people in Boston know this, but the Jets can blame Peyton Manning on that one.
Yeah.
He called Woody Johnson was in London working for the president. Christopher Johnson was running the team. He didn't know what he was doing. Peyton Manning calls him up. He loved Adam Gase as his offensive coordinator in Denver. He'd just gotten fired by the Dolphins. I mean, who hires a coach that had just gotten fired within the division? I mean, Buffalo did that with Rex Ryan, but
a rare mistake by this organization, Gary. A very rare mistake.
15 years since they made the playoffs. They haven't had a winning season in 10 years. And here's the kicker to it all. Last week, so a week before the trading deadline, they send out season ticket renewal notices with nice increases.
Well,
listen,
Woody Johnson's got his finger on the pulse. Gary, we got to go. We're up against the commercial. But, Gary, appreciate it so much. Brady versus Belichick, the dynasty debate is out. Gary, thank you as always. We appreciate it.
Anytime for you, Fred. Take care.
All right, take it easy. There you go. Gary Myers. I didn't mean to get that in the weeds with the Jets, but once he gets going, it's very difficult to stop because there's so much crap. I think he's way off on that Dallas trade. I think that was a horrendous trade. I think that was an absolutely inexplicably bad.
He said he liked Quinnen Williams a lot.
I like him too. I don't like what they're doing with that team. All right, we'll be right back.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
All right, if this summer, now that it's over, and is it ever? To climb up a tree.
You know.
We're the best friends you can be, my buddy and me.
Now, more of your best morning buddies, Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Yeah. We are Toucher and Hardy. If you'd like to email us, you can do so. Find our email addresses 985thesportshub.com. Our social media accounts are at Toucher and Hardy. Hardy's at Hardy985. You can get on his alternative rock boat cruise with the code Hardy, which is Chris Forsberg's going to be there.
Who are the bands
He's almost
again?
guaranteed it.
Oh,
Let's
who
not
aren't the bands?
Let's not go crazy.
What great bands.
Better than Ezra's one. That's
Yeah.
all you need to know. And his the Gin Blossoms are going to be represented, and he's hosting a Q&A with them.
Nice.
And he loves them.
Robin Wilson, special musical host, whatever that means. We don't know.
He's a Robin Williams impersonator.
Robin Wilson.
Yeah. He's a Robin Williams impersonator. It's close enough.
It's not.
And I am at Fred Toucher. We are so close to getting to 26,000 followers, which will open up a whole new income stream for me. Scott says, you guys act like the Pats simply decided not to make trades yesterday when, in fact, you don't know what they tried or tried not to do. I don't think any of us are. That's unfair. None of us said that we knew what they were trying to do. And none of us shared the same opinion. So that's unfair, too. I'm not bothered at all that they didn't make a move. And Gary Myers said the point that I've been repeating, which is maybe they just decided there was nothing worth disrupting the locker room.
Right. Well,
and that's what Gary brought that up as a point. Look, what edge rusher went that you desperately wanted? I don't know. So anyway,
the thing that bothered me about it was from both Phil Perry and Bedard, who were also, I guess hypothesizing that they didn't want to part with these picks. When you're talking about the 4 6th-round draft picks, or even a 5th or a 4th, if you don't want to do something, in the first 2 days, that's fine. I get that. But when you have all these picks, 5th round, 6th round. Yeah, there were a couple of moves made yesterday with picks of that caliber, and you're not talking about getting a game-changing player onto the team, but for a team that still needs depth, you see what happens to the offense. You're not coming off of like a world-beating performance last weekend. You're coming off a game that you won against not a great team that you won because they missed an extra point. And one of the reasons why you were in that situation is because Keyshawn Boutte, of all people, wasn't available to you. So your offense was stifled a little bit. To say that you couldn't somehow add to the depth or maybe just help out a little bit with a receiver or an offensive lineman, again, not necessarily a day one starter, but something that would give you some depth and give you a safety net at one of those two positions. Yeah, I think you could have got that done.
Nothing wrong with doing that.
But maybe they feel that they could just pick someone up if they needed one anyway that's of equal value. The only thing that I would
hope they do.
The only thing with the Bedard thing is there's no way they were hanging on to 6th-round picks to hang on to 6th-round picks. Now, it's most likely that they didn't find anyone that they really wanted to use those picks for, and they're worth something. So maybe it wasn't, but there's no way they were like, as a philosophy, we're going to hang on to 4 6th-round picks. I don't believe that. Now, they might have looked at who's available and said, we don't want any of these guys.
Right.
And that has to be what happened, is they didn't like anyone that got moved. And the people that they did that they tried to get were unavailable for the price they were willing to pay. Now, you could argue, so let's take the 6 picks off the table. Then you get in, or is anyone available for 5th-round pick? Would you move that? Then you get into the 4th round. Who's the player? And now this is all we don't know. So but the thing I will argue without a doubt is the reason the Patriots didn't make trades was precisely because they cherished those 4 6th-round picks. That I don't believe. I too would have liked to see the trade or two, at least the depth of reasons you guys, but especially John. Wanted them to do something just to do something. There were only 6 trades yesterday, so perhaps like most, 6 trades yesterday.
That's dumb that you would want that, John.
If that's what I said, that would have been dumb, yes.
There were only 6 trades yesterday, so perhaps like most deadlines, teams were unwilling to deal with, or the players that targeted weren't available. All these are kind of obvious points. John likes some players that were traded yesterday. I argue with the receiver. But offensive line depth certainly was something that they could have done.
Did you see your quarterback bridge solution for the Jets, Fred?
Oh yeah, bring back Sanchez.
That's right. He's 38 years old. There's guys in their 40s playing in the league right now. Playing pretty good.
Character guy.
Mark Sanchez, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's exactly what you would say about Sanchez right now.
He's got a couple of things he needs to clean up.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's good.
Look, the kid doesn't make mistakes, man. 2 AFC championship games in a row.
He's got nothing but time on his hands.
Defense first team. You get Sanchez there.
I don't think he's broadcasting right now. Something happened with that, so he's available.
No, you're thinking of the felony assault charges. Yeah, he was drunk and walking around late at night in Indianapolis, beat up a truck driver who stabbed him.
No, this truck driver stabbed him, I thought.
No, yeah. Truck driver stabbed him.
Okay.
That's what I said.
It is pretty amazing, though, based on what they obviously know already and through their investigation. Wait a second, Mark Sanchez got stabbed? That guy's in a lot of trouble. Actually, no, he's a hero.
Yeah. Fighting off a former professional athlete.
And he's going to be just fine once all this comes out. He's already fine, and he's going to be even more fine.
Yeah, I mean, just because they won't let him broadcast doesn't mean he can't play quarterback. Obviously, the guy was joking with that email. Vin, go ahead.
Hi. Good morning, guys.
Hey,
just
Vin.
out of curiosity, what about the son of Jerry Rice that they picked up yesterday? And they put him on the practice squad. I got to think he's having, some value, and they saw something that they wanted there.
Well,
just throwing it out there.
You can pick up guys off of practice squads, and maybe they thought that the talent that was available for trade, they were better off just picking guys off of practice squads. That's very possible. I'm not going to read this email because it has a name in it, and I don't know the gist of it, but I am interested if it's interesting. Felger read some email about the Cowboys yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And then someone had just died or something.
I think it's a play on words with the name. I saw that email too, and I just
I was uncomfortable reading it because I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think it's a Hugh Jass situation. See what the name?
Oh, what is the name that they used? Dixie what? I erased the email. I just erased it.
Normus.
Oh, really?
No, it's but
that's a good one.
Spitballing.
Hold on, I'll see if I can find
The best is one time Rich gave "Hey, Would You Blow Me" as a name at the Masters in Atlanta, and then of course we had to replay the bit in Boston.
Iron my shirt. Yeah.
And they didn't get mad in Boston about the people in management didn't get mad about the "Iron my shirt" part, which is of course the most offensive thing about it. They got mad about him saying "Hey, would you blow me" as the name.
No, it's Jablom, Fred. Get it right.
Yeah, well, "Hey, would you blow him," and then it comes out as "Hey, would you blow me?"
I know that.
But it wasn't the telling the woman wanting to get into Augusta National to iron his shirt, which was a funny bit, especially at the time. Now, did it have to be played in Boston? Probably not. But I mean, it was from a long time before that. But anyway, it was a good bit when it happened.
It was early April. It was Masters time.
Yeah, right.
That's what it was.
But the point of the point I'm making is not. It was a great bit at the time, and it got a lot of positive stuff for the Atlanta station and da 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 da. My thing is just the management having an issue out of anything out of that. Not the being offensive to women. It's the "Hey, would you blow me" name. I find that so funny. Like, what's wrong with you? He's insulting, and I'm not. It was a good. This is not anything about Rich. It's just if you're gonna get mad about something, it's insulting women. Yeah. It's not the name he used. Jesus Christ. Go ahead. If you can't read it, you can't read it. I just don't know what it was.
Dixie wrecked.
Oh, that's not
okay.
bad.
All right.
Yeah, that's not bad. All right. Sully says, "Good morning, guys. Why even bother asking Forsberg for one of his one-sided green teamer takes? He's so insufferable. sticking up for moron Missoula, and that is why we do the better than Ezra thing, to keep him from babbling on and on and on about the Celtics with his homer stuff. Look, Missoula won a championship. What do you want? What do you want him to? He watches all the games. He talks to all the players. What do you want out of him? It's his opinion.
Sarah and Everett emailed in.
Fantastic.
Heard you talking about Vegas. I dated a boy who went to Henderson High School back
a long time ago.
No, I did not use the drive-through window at Imperial Palace.
I was hoping that wasn't for me because I stopped listening. I could just hear the rambling.
But I did go to Samstown. There's a chance I could have seen the Killers, but I don't remember.
You know, I wish you went to Jonestown.
Wow. Come on, man.
Nice.
That's good. Nick liked it.
Nick's laughing the hardest he's laughed all morning.
That's a good line.
That was a really good line.
Thank you. I can't believe we didn't get more of a reaction in the room. In the other room, we got a great reaction. I'm referring to the Jonestown massacre.
Yes, you're wishing that somebody, whether it was Sarah or me or someone involved with Samstown, would have participated in a mass suicide.
I said you.
And that's why we were all taken aback by that, Fred.
I think that's like a 9 out of 10 line right there.
Line. I think Hardy's a little dehydrated. I'll bring you something to drink.
It's not because he's offended by the line. It's because
you wanted me to participate in a mass suicide.
Yeah, that's the joke. That's a great joke. It's decidedly not. That's why it's funny.
I thought it was great.
No, you didn't. You didn't laugh hard enough at all.
He didn't.
It went right over your head.
He didn't get it.
Nick is the one who got it. Adam likes those too. Adam likes it when they're about him.
I just like to laugh.
Well, then you know what? Going to Washington for a day.
That happened in 1978. You wanted me to do that as a 7-year-old. That's particularly hurtful.
I don't care when you did it, as long as you died. Could have been anything. You know, walk in front of a train for all I care. I wish you were on the Hindenburg. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
East.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hardy, if I was to tell you we had 2 phone calls on hold, and you had to guess the 2 people that were on hold,
Blind
who would
Scott.
you guess? Yes.
And Sarah.
Correct.
Okay.
There it is.
So just as a matter of, Sarah has not called in a very long time. Sarah, hello.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Not a nice statement, Fred, but that's okay. I can handle you.
I didn't say it about you. I said it about Hardy. I made that very clear. Not everything is about you, Sarah. I said I wish.
That's the exact email you sent me. Why am I so obsessed with you? So,
You were sending me. You have to admit, Sarah, it was every day, sometimes numerous times a day. You would be listening
Fred,
to
but first off, I've never said F you to you. You lied right there. I've never said F off.
I apologize. Then my whole point, Sarah, was completely off. Did you were you not consistently every day sending me emails, disparaging emails every day?
Yeah, I'm not in your stroke man crew, Fred. I can't.
All right, Sarah. I don't care about you, so leave me alone.
Ooh, do you wish she was on the Hindenburg? Do you wish she had
what happened to
on the Titanic?
What would happen to all the dogs that she doesn't walk in? I like that she's not part of whatever crew. Sarah, I don't like you. You send negative emails every day. Like, what do you... Let's all back off a little bit. Why should I... Not that she has the right to do it, or that it's like out of like she like should get in trouble, but why would anyone that sent negative emails to them every day, sometimes numerous times a day?
Because she's still a ray of light.
Hi, guys.
I mean, that's insane. You realize that's like that sounds insane. Like, wait a second. Why don't you like me? I'm always insulting you. See, Sarah, here's what happens. When you insult someone a lot,
she's just pulling your pigtails.
When you insult someone over and over and over and over again, they will not like you. 100 times out of 100.
Well, then why don't you talk to Blind Scott, because he loves you.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Blind Scott out. Yeah.
Blind Scott, what's your question, Blind Scott?
Oh, yeah. What entrance will you be going in when you go to this comedy festival at the Garden on Saturday? Because I'll be working the door at the 7-Eleven on Causeway Street that night, so I'll just walk over and wait for you.
What do you mean by working the door?
What does that mean?
Oh, like when people show up at 7-Eleven, I say, like, hey, how are you? Can I get the door for you? You know, you want to buy me a taquito? You know what I mean? Like, one of those deals.
Oh, yeah. So you're panhandling, essentially.
No, I'm just joking. I'm not doing it. Hey, the thing with Sarah from Everett, she's not in mental health recovery yet. She's obviously upset about something that happened in her childhood, and she needs to work on it. And she's taking it out on
Scott,
Fred.
that's not a bad point, but I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is that, and look, a lot of people hate the show, and certainly a lot of people hate me. I've almost been on the air here for 20 years.
Love you, Sarah.
Talking all the time. All I don't know is like why I'm supposed to react. And it's like, well, don't react at all. Well, she calls in. Like, so it just, this has happened before. Like, people will just like spam you with all this like terrible, her stuff wasn't terrible. It was just more aggravating. It was just everything I said she'd have some problem with. She like little things. And then, but people said terrible, 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 terrible. I stopped even doing this, but they'll send terrible, 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 terrible things about me. Like threatening things.
Harry and Sally started the same way.
And then I'll go, this isn't Sarah. This is like just other people. And then like I'll react negatively. And then they'll go like, ha ha. Like, oh, my bad. Like imagine me like being a person.
By the way, 20 seconds here. Tom Brady cloned his dog.
Yeah, I know. Good. It's just the worst thing
Thank
ever.
God, the mystery's been revealed.
It's the worst, perhaps the worst thing ever. If you don't know, Tom Brady it's being reported that he's saying that his dog died and he liked the dog so much that he cloned the effing thing. And say what you will about like adopting, and I'm not as precious to say you should adopt all your animals. I don't care what you do. I choose to adopt animals. What I will say is there's plenty of dogs that are alive. And by the way, things die. Like this
not anymore.
Well, give me 1 minute. This whole super rich thing of like cheating death or like not coming to grips with death is the most unhealthy.
He's going to be one of those dudes. He's going to be like that rich dude. He's going to try and live to be like 150.
You have to spiritually, like just like you're earning all this money to not die.
Yeah.
That's the least healthy thing in the history of the world. It sucks when your animals die, but they're dead. Wouldn't the thing to develop a relationship with another animal?
It's back.
Mike,
the dog died,
it's
but
disgusting.
the dog is back.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's awful. It's all, and I'm not kidding around at all. This isn't like Belichick stuff. I think that's awful what he did. It's just, dude, I get it. You have a lot of money. Stuff dies, dude. Everyone's gonna. You're gonna. It's just, this is the kind of guy who's going to get like an AI chip of like his brain.
You wanted me to die in 1978. I'm not surprised at this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Imagine if there's some way you to kick around for a few more years. I mean, that's terrible for everyone.
Would you clone one of your dogs?
No, it's gross.
Even
it's
Zoe's
just
out on
gross. It's just awful. Like, I'm sorry your dog died, dude, but it happens. It happened to all of us. All of us who've owned a dog have had a dog die. I mean, the fluff.
What about the fluff? Would you clone the fluff?
No,
No.
The cat lived a great life, and then it died, and it was sad. And now, you know, what do? You get this garbage cat I have now.